The angels of God literally come down on the ground, put on military gear. This is in the Bible. Get weapons of war out to go to battle with humans, to go fight against people that they don't even know, because God wants that land.
They look like humans, but they're not fully human. They merely look like us.
Biblical text into its original form, you discover that the word God is mistranslated. Everywhere where you see God singular, it's supposed to be gods with an S, plural.
The God is Elohim, meaning there are different kinds of Elohim.
And God said, one person over there, has cursed my name or doesn't believe in me. So take down the entire town, the entire city, kill the women, kill the children, kill the babies, and bring me back the spoils of war. What kind of God needs the spoils of war? Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and I create the darkness. I make peace and I create evil. I doeth these things, saith the Lord. That's God speaking. It's some of the most ridiculous stuff that I've ever heard, and I've read over 1,000 books, scriptures, papyrus, cylinder scrolls, and texts from all around the world. And when I go into here, it's like I'm reading a comedy show. I'm literally reading a comedy show. Now, is there good stuff in the Bible? Yes. There is good information in this book. The problem is the average person can't separate the good from the bad.
You need to understand that we are like our Creator, and that is scary, because as crazy as we are, we know that they are equally crazy. We are like them. We look like them, and we act like them. And that implies that something big is going on the earth, and they're not telling us. They're not telling the human family what's going on, because they're getting ready to use us.
What is being born again? Being born again is rising up to a higher level of consciousness and looking back on your previous thought process and realizing that you've grown consciously. That's being born again. Not having some pastor douse you in the ocean or throw you in a bathtub or splash water on your baby. Your baby don't even know what the hell's going on. You didn't bless any baby. You didn't do anything positive for that kid. All you did was give the kid some trauma, PTSD. Kid gonna be afraid to go swimming now because you just splashed the kid and dashed him hardcore into the little tub, and now this kid is gonna be afraid to go swimming. That's what you did. You just gave him PTSD. Nothing else. You didn't give him no blessings. Being born again is rising in consciousness. Christ's consciousness is the highest level. The ancient sages knew this. Jesus Christ was not the first Christ. There was many Christs before Yeshua the Christ. It's a level of thinking and understanding. It has nothing to do with this foolishness that you've been preached and taught. Not one iota. None of it. Period. Heaven and hell is a state of mind. Heaven and hell is a state of mind, and these are your temples.
Many people have mistaken sons of God in the Bible for angels. Angels are spirit entities. Sons of God, according to the old Jewish tradition and Christian and the Islamic world, recognizes that sons of God is different than angels. Sons of God are entities, not from here, but who look like us. They look like humans, but they're not fully human. They merely look like us. And I am of the opinion that the reason why that is because they made us in their image and likeness. And so we say they look like us. No, in fact, we look like them. They made us in their image and likeness. And when you read in the Bible in the beginning, which I will be showing you, when it says God created man, and God created man. In point of fact, the Bible does not say God created man. It's not saying that at all. It's saying that God has recreated man. You'll see all of this in the scriptures, but the point I want to make here for this whole presentation is that we are the product of a higher civilization who is watching us, and they are the ones that we have talked about for thousands of years as the gods.
God is good all the time. He's the same. In the beginning, he's the same as he is now today. He's never changed. All the time. Same all the time. Never changed. Well, let's look at what this biblical text has to say.
Before he goes into a biblical text, I remember when he said something about he's read a lot of books, a lot of texts, ancient texts. And when he reads the Bible, it sounds like he is reading a commie. And I'm laughing at that because I feel like when I was reading the Bible as well, if I remember correctly, when I was young, it was kind of like because I read the whole thing as well, and in a short space of time, even because I just couldn't understand what it was talking about, and I couldn't understand some of the things that were in that book. It's almost like it's not a comedy for me, but it's so much of fiction. It was such a fictional kind of book. So when you understand that that book is created by Uncle Devil, that is the devil himself, it changes the whole thing and how you look at that book. That is, when you understand that, I mean, people, please use your minds. You know, it's really, how can I put it? It's disappointing to listen to all these so-called intellects, right? Who can't even go back and say, how do we prove that God actually wrote this book? How do we prove that this information is correct? How do we have proof that this person that they're talking about actually did write this book? I mean, you're going to call yourself an intellect, a free thinker, a truth seeker, and all of that. Did you start first by finding out whether that book is real or not? And whether or not you should actually be looking at that book in that essence of it could be written by a creator being, a higher consciousness being. And let's do this. If you believe that that being or those beings, as they put it, some of them, would create a being like you that would be able to read up so much of information from so many things, there must have been some sort of intelligence in that kind of being, or beings, if you call them like that. So there must have been something good to be able to bring you forward and you alive and questioning as much as you're questioning. However, I am failing to understand how is it that all these intellectuals never ask for a simple thing. Who wrote this book? Who really wrote this book? I don't see any signature of God there. I mean, if you understand even how it was created, it's a fiction. It's fiction. That shit there, that shit was written on rocks and somebody transcribed it from rocks to a book and all of that. I mean, really? Are you really that slow? Are you really going to be like, oh, you're going to believe that crap? Because for me, the first thing is, are you really believing in the fact that a being as believed in so many millennia or whatever, right, could have written or could have created us in his image, and his image having a confusion between being good people and bad people, good shit in this environment and bad shit in this environment? I mean, if you look at yourself and how you are acting, because of you are saying that, because someone is saying something in the reverse of it, that's saying something like they are like us. No, you are like God. Your failure to be like him fully is your failure. Your failure to discover who he really is your failure. Your failure to take whatever old crap written by so many people who came here and have so many things that they wrote and all kinds of things, and you interpret it however you interpret it, and you get confused wherever you get confused. And when that is a failure on your part, you want to blame that shit on another being. Isn't that the usual human being problem? That is, we always have to blame somebody for something, for our own failures. It's your problem if you're not understanding. But to go out there and be it and put it in such a way as to blame God for it, or blame some sort of a being who created you or who you think created you, without really taking onus on yourself, right? Yourself. What are you doing to make things right? What are you doing to make these things right? Not for others, no, for yourself. Why do you care what other people are doing? Why would you care what people were doing in those days? This is why I keep saying, I don't understand why spirituality or understanding God in this essence has to be taken back to such a old knowledge, such old wisdom. That information has changed up until today. And if you understand and you're an intellectual as you think you are, you would know that information deteriorates as time goes on. And why are you still looking at that old information with some sort of magnifying glasses to try to find some meaning, when that information that you're looking for is actually stored within yourself? The real information, the today information, the 2026 information is stored within each and every one of us. And you're never going to find that if you keep going back to books that you're not sure who wrote them. 1, 2, you're not sure if you're interpreting them correctly. 3, you're not sure if you were set up. They were left there so that you can take it, read it, and think it's the truth, or be confused more and live your life and believe that this is exactly what God is about. And which is the case when it comes to the Bible. You were set up, unfortunately. And to have all kinds of seminars about an old book, right? When you look at it, I can't take any of that old book stuff even and try to implement them in the current environment. That is old shit. We need new shit. You were birthed so many years ago, 40, 50 years ago. Your old crap as well is getting old, because you keep putting what? Old information, old incorrect information, old unfucking verified information. How do you verify that shit? The only way you're going to verify it is if you go directly to God himself and let him tell you his truth. But you're never going to go there, right? Because you have all these egos that you're looking at in this planet. You got all these books, you got all this guy's the tablet guy. I read this tablet and so and so. Leave so and so's tablet alone. He wrote it for himself. You write your own shit. What about you? What about you? What you've discovered about life and earth and God and yourself in this environment? Stop copying other people's work and making it sound like you're doing something. You're not doing anything. All you're doing is whatever mistake thought did, you're also doing the same mistake today. It's not what you came here for. You're not thought. You're not going to understand shit as well as he understood it, because of what he was, or what Yeshua, Vishnu, Shiva, thought, whoever you want to call them, who came here in that Christ energy as you say it is. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Whatever it is, they came here in their own version. They did their own spiritual path. They walked their own spiritual path. They discovered themselves, and they left or understood it in the way that their own programs could understand it. And they said whatever they said, or they created tablets however they created. And I'm doing the same thing. Today in 2026, I burped again. Oh shoot. What I'm saying is I'm rewriting my story in this planet. 2026. I don't remember what date it is. I know it's July. I'm rewriting the story for myself, not for anybody else, but for myself. I'm understanding Father the way I need to understand him. He's the one who told me the story of the Bible. I didn't have to go to some dug up some graves or dug up some caves and find some old whatever to find out who God is. I went directly to him. I prayed, that is. I talked to God, that is. Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, she's crazy. Fine. I'll be crazy. I'll be that crazy woman. That's okay. Until I'm proven right. And when the upgrade happens and the light happens and you'll be like, oh shit, she was telling the truth. Then your ass is going to be burnt and I'll be like, Because people, when they are lazy to do what they need to do, they are quick to label things as crazy, right? Label things as anything that, don't listen to that one. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Because they are lazy to even like sit down for like few minutes and think about what is being said. That you are a program. You're living in an operating system. You're really a program. And thought was a program. Yeshua is a program. Angels are programs. You got angel programs. You got demon programs. You got human programs. You got other species out there in the universe programs. You got even God programs, God's programs. These gods that you're talking about, they are such beings. That is the truth. But there's also a God called God the Creator. Every God has a name. They are called something because of whatever they are called for is what they mastered for. That is, they lived or existed in existence and mastered a certain type of quality. My Father, God the Creator, is the beginning of everything. He's not having to, he had to master himself by creating himself, by creating the other gods, by creating us, by creating all the other beings, by creating angels, by creating this environment, by creating the universe. That's how he's mastered himself. What are you doing? What are you mastering? Because you came here to master yourself, but you can't. Why? Because of you busy looking at old information. It doesn't matter what they said, right? We should just give them, they tried, they did their best. And like I said, some of them want to come back and redo this because they feel like they could also attempt it in a different way, because that's what you come here for. That's why you reincarnate. Some gods are gods of thunder. They want to come back and be gods of clouds as well, or add on to their functionality. That because you're a program. You're actually a program. But you're never going to find that out if you keep running around and digging graves for old information in that way. It's not to say that you shouldn't. It's to say that it's not necessarily the answer to everything. Right? Seeking for truth, you're not going to find it in some graves, in some caves, in some tablets, in some Bibles, in some books, in some journals that were written by other people. You're going to have to do the work yourself, your own one. You're going to have to write your own journals. The Bible is a collection of journals of people who lived in the past, who used to write about who used to journal their spiritual journeys in the physical environment. That is, a program would be birthed here. That is, a program would be installed here. And they would write histories of what they're experiencing with all the spiritual things that they're going through. Right? And how they understood it. It's not to say that what they saw or what they understood or what they wrote about was actually what was happening. They could have been a fictional writer. You don't know that. You're reading that shit and thinking, this happened. Oh, this happened. How do you prove that? Can you be that dumb to be like, okay, I am born and birthed here. I'm living in this environment in 2026. Right? I'm living in this environment in 2026. There's no history about this book except for the fact that I know that this chapter here is written by John. This one is written by Ezekiel. This one is written by. But I cannot go back that far in time and really prove that it really is them, or really ask them. If we were to get a chance to ask these people, why did you write this journal? He could say that I used to just have dreams, so I used to journal them. It wasn't really anything real. What are you going to say about that? Because sometimes it's that. Oh no, my program has issues with seeing things the wrong way. So I used to journal so that I can come back and look at it and retrace my steps to fix my issues that I came here to fix. That's why I needed to journal that. What are you going to say? You're busy making it gospel here. You're learning from it in such a way that you want to implement it in your life when someone was doing it to note down all the issues they have in their programming so that they can re-look at themselves differently and see, or look at the patterns. Why am I having these dreams? Why am I having these feelings? Why am I having these experiences? And you are taking that shit and making it about yourself in 2026. I mean, seriously, that book is so old. What the fuck? And on top of that, it was created just so it can give you, trap you. And you fall for it. You fell for it. I read this book the first time. I kind of like knew it wasn't a real thing. At that time, because I was still awake, right? But I was fascinated to go through it. I remember Father used to sometimes join me when I'm reading it, and I'll be like, this thing is fascinating. It's like, it's a story. And he's like, one day you're gonna learn about that book. You're gonna understand what that book is. So when he comes to me in my visions to teach me about the book, show me how it starts, right? And I have a recording about that somewhere. I'm not gonna go through it now. Essentially, like how he shows me how Uncle Devel goes about to actually organize it, why he organized it, who he organized it with, and what chaos it created, and how it went off the surface, like it disappeared, and then it came back again after some couple of years. Not couple of years, actually, after some time, it resurfaced, that book. It wasn't there. The people in the times when this book was created didn't even read this shit. They didn't even care for it. And for a long time after that, nobody really referred to the Bible. It's a specific point in time, I don't remember, I think it's about 2,000 years ago or something like that, where it comes back, because it was time. And that was what the intention of Uncle Omen wanted to do, to bring it, to let it sit and stew and bring it at a time where no one talks about, because they used to not like it. Even in that time, the people who used to journal in that way didn't like that book. They used to have like, oh, that stupid book, like kind of thing, like that like they used to mock it, right? And you are reading it and making it about your life and about your religion, about your belief system, about everything about you. And it's a distraction, because you're going to chase everything out there to try to find a way to prove this book right. But unfortunately, you're not going to prove it right. The whole thing is wrong. You'll never prove it right, because the whole thing is wrong. And forget about that. Forget about proving all these texts that were written in the old times. Then this is what I'm saying, is that even in the Eastern religion as well, people are rereading the scripts that were written by old people, right, who existed in the past and how they understood things. And those people might have understood it correctly. However, because of their specific program, how they're going to communicate it is going to be based on their perspective, right? Because of this type of program, when I write about it, I'm going to write about it from my own perspective, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going to make sense probably in millennia after this. I'm not going to make sense to a person in next millennia. I might not make sense. He's going to listen to me and be like, what is this one talking about? What was she talking about? Because of we evolve. And people are still stuck on what the old people did, what the old Vishnus and the Christs and whatever did or said, instead of focusing on what they came here to do. You came here to do something. You came here for a reason. You came here for a reason. You wanted to come here. What is that reason? And that's what you need to remember. But you're not going to you're not going to understand that and remember that if you keep reading old text, it's old text, right? It's someone else's work. Leave that shit and write your own text. Go inside yourself and go and read the text or the data as a program, the data that was written within you. It's called intuition, inside information, inside knowledge. It's in there. When you're installed as a program, you have a library installed with you. You need to go into that library because that library is the one that's going to tell you. It's a map. How you're going to read it, how you're going to understand it, how you're going to interpret it in the physical environment. And that is what spirituality is. You're not telling us anything new. You're telling us what you read somewhere from someone. And how, if they got it wrong, for instance, it means you're going to get it wrong. It means that somebody got it wrong. So people are assuming, I'm not saying my brothers didn't get it right. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if they did get it wrong, or they didn't finish their paths, or they got stuck somewhere, it means the humanity is always going to get stuck somewhere. It means if we are using their way of life as a blueprint for ourselves in that way, it means we're always going to get stuck. But here's the thing. The beings that came were defragmentation and fragmentation, right? Programs. They were fragmentational programs and defragmentational programs, right? Meaning their understanding is from a different point of view of programming. That is, they work on a system level. They understand things differently in that way. You might have to not necessarily understand it in their level, but maybe understand it in your level. And I don't know what that level is. You're going to have to find out. You're going to have to remember what program you are and understand the information that is stored within you. Because here's the thing. They came here, they taught whatever they taught from a global perspective, not just from a global perspective, from an existence kind of perspective. Perhaps your program is the one that is going to understand a little from all that existence thing. Your program is probably focused on something, right? A specific time. Maybe your program, because this one, I think he likes to I don't know, maybe archaeology type of things. I don't know what he is. I saw him a while ago talking about thought and the tablet, what tablets and whatnot, right? I feel like he's that kind of a program. Whatever program it is, he has to kind of understand what that program is. He's probably he could be a program that likes reading or cataloging, maybe. I don't know. He might have to find out what he is. I don't know why I use the word catalog. He could be some sort of a cataloging type of program, like cataloging or information or something like. He could be that kind of. He's going to need to find that out. But I'm giving an example because I'm looking at what the being does, how he he seeks information. He's a seeker as well, seeker of knowledge, but he's going elsewhere except for where he needs to go. You were not sent here, or you didn't come here to read how Yeshua lived, how Vishnu, Shiva, thought, or whoever that you're reading tablets from lived. Why are you wasting your time? Why are you here? Those people came here and they did their jobs, right? They walked their spiritual path. They understood things the way they understood. Yes, did they leave something? They left something, but it wasn't for us to hop on it for millennia later and not really outgrow it and move forward and elevate it and get to a point where we have improved it. But we're never going to get there because people keep going and rehashing the old shit. Because people keep saying, oh, they were not this, they were not that. You're all trying to prove something that has existed. It's those people, they're going to come back one day and they're going to say their truth is like, dude, I used to write that shit when I had just smoked something and I was feeling this way, or when my mother was pissing me off and I just felt like I should just write, create something outside of my environment and that I wished for. Or I was just, I don't know, writing a movie or something like that. How are you going to feel when you find out that it had no meaning in a way? It was really fictional. What are you going to say? When you've based your entire 20, 40, 50, 60-year life on this planet busy trying to prove Yeshua wrong, prove angels wrong, prove all these gods and goddesses that came here before you wrong. They did their part. They said whatever they said and they left. Right? Maybe some of them are reincarnated as you or as somebody else. But the reason why you're reincarnating and not getting the shit right is because you still keep reading other people's information. Where's your information? Where's your intuition? You cannot be going around talking about other people. I believe, to be honest, that when somebody starts talking about what Yeshua said or what Vishnu said or what Sharandara somebody said, we should just tell them, what are you saying? We hear you that somebody else said that. What are you saying? And here's the thing. When I was waking up, they never really sent me towards looking at text or information that Yeshua wrote, because he didn't have anything that he left right. Perhaps he had his own journal that we cannot find. But even still, it's not my journal. It's his journal, right? And I'm here to read my journal, to read my information that is written within my program and walk that information or be guided by it to say, you're going to do this. At this stage, you're going to see this. At that stage, you're going to do this again. And this is what it means. This is what it means for your program, for my program. I discovered a lot of things. Okay, I'm burping, sorry. I discovered a lot of things about my program. Just being guided by the map that was stored within me, by my memories. And you have those memories. Everybody has those memories. Okay, I keep burping, right? Everybody has those memories. Every program has their memory, meaning their data stored within them. Everybody has those, right? And some of them were downloaded on you while you were living on Earth. Because, shit. Okay, I'm learning something. All right. So, Father, are you saying, is it, I'm not the only one who comes in so when we come, we have basic information, basic data to get installed. And then the rest of the information you download as we live through our lives as guidance, as guidance for us to do certain things. Oh. Okay. I'm seeing something different here. I used to think that Father was doing, perhaps it's one of the reasons, but I used to think that the reason why I got installed here without any knowledge was because of I needed to be a certain size in order for me to be able to fit into this low vibrational environment. That is, I cannot come with a lot of information in it, right? And only when I'm installed here as I'm growing, Father keeps giving me knowledge, right? I used to have visions, right? And some of them made sense, some of them didn't make sense. Some of them were memories of my life, and some of them were other things. But then in that process, when you're growing up, for me, and it could be for the other people as well, the devil system or Uncle Devil knows how to also plant his own data in your dreams, in your visions, especially by dreams. But for me, like I say, I don't normally have dreams. Father doesn't come to me in dreams. He comes to me in visions, right? And because of dreams are easily manipulated. And I feel like it never used to be like that. It only got to be like that when Uncle Omen understood or learned how to use the astral world to manipulate people's dreams, to manipulate people's spirituality by adding dream states in the astral world and making it seem like it's your intuition. So most of us, like myself, will have to kind of like differentiate which one is real information and which one is information stored by the devil. That is, for me, I had to figure out what are the fake dreams in my data set so that I can ex- spew those out as an exception, and then what is the real information. And everything that I had to learn how to do that. I learned it by understanding that the information or the vibration of the information will feel a certain way first. That is, it won't be scary, right? Whenever you start seeing any scary type of information in your dreams, where you're so uh fragmented in that dream, like horrors or fear or something like that, usually it's not a a a, a high vibrational dream. That is, it's not God's dream. It's not your ancestors kind of information. It's not your spiritual information. It's usually this environment is trying to um, add information for you so that you think it's real and it would happen, and you live in that state of always anticipating something bad happening to you. It's like, you know what, I woke up today, I had such a bad dream. I was dreaming about this and this and that. You're fragmented. You released energy, and to release energy while you're sleeping in a sleep mode is far much more potent. That energy source is far much more potent than if you were to release it while you're awake, because in your dream state it's like you're very vulnerable. When you release it, it just keeps just it's almost like once you get into that state of fear, it just keeps releasing. You're not able to wake up and really like stop it from releasing, because of maybe you do watch something else, or some people will wake up uh and I think that's what they used to advise in the olden days, that after having a bad dream you should wake up, and usually they would say have some water, um cool down, like calm yourself down before you go back to sleep. It's because of that heat, that that fear, that anger, that fragmentation going on, that process running in your program is essentially still releasing energy. This is why some people, whenever they wake up from nightmares, you feel like you just need to get out and walk a little and get some water, maybe stand outside to get some air. That helps, because what it's doing is it's leveling or getting your system back to calm down, so that it doesn't keep releasing energy. Because of if you don't do that, you keep releasing energy, and the system keeps harvesting your energy. There's a reason why they add these type of scary dreams in your processing, because of they want you to release energy. It's like they fragment you while you're walking every day awake, and they also do a lot of fragmentation when you're sleeping, because sometimes you might be very strong when you are awake. That is, you don't get fragmented easily because you are that kind of a person who understands themselves, or you just don't get fragmented easily. You mind your own business. You don't care about a lot of things. They might get you, but they don't really get you. So what they would do is move to the other space, which is your dream state, and they would be able to. They know that you're vulnerable. You're sleeping. You're supposed to be sleeping. Your system or your process. Your program is supposed to be resting. Your mind is supposed to be also resting. So what they're doing by coming into your mind and your programming, and which is your mind is your memory, right? Your processor, right? By trying to disrupt your processor while it's resting, it's recuperating, and having it to process some sort of a dream state or something like that, it's essentially interfering with your resting time. So your processing is now going to be fragmented, and the next morning you wake up and you're tired, because of why? The time when you're supposed to be sleeping, your program is supposed to be in sleep mode, resting and recuperating and healing. It's not healing because of some whoever out there is busy interfering with your processing while you're sleeping. So dreams for me are not a good deal for me. It's because of I'm not processing. Why are you fucking giving me dreams in the middle of the night when I'm supposed to be resting my mind? However, when I'm awake, Father comes to me when I'm awake and he gives me visions, right? And he says to me, this is how it's going to work. You're going to see this, you're going to do that. And that's not to say that God won't come to you within your dream state. But the problem with the dream state is that it has been hijacked by this environment's devil. I call it the devil system, right? Because I don't know what else to call it. I don't want to say they, because I used to say they, and somebody said, who are you talking about when you say they? And it's a good question. What I mean is the system, the devil kind of system, that is the system that Uncle Devil, right, which is my uncle, wanted to implement in this environment. I see that for myself, right? I don't have to talk up. I know kind of like who he looks like. Will I know him when he comes forward? I didn't recognize him, but I knew that I knew him. It was a she even, right? And how I knew it was him is when he did something and I was like, damn it, it's him. And he reincarnated as a female because of he needed to be in my timeline in that way. However, in spirituality, I usually experience him as himself, as a male. Anyway, would I recognize him in the physical? Most probably, but I might be like, I feel this energy more in an energy format, and even how he looks, I might just be like, why do you look so familiar? Most of the time you do. You will remember your people. You remember your spiritual people, for instance. You would remember them because, first of all, the energy signature feels familiar to you. They just feel familiar to you. And also the memories, if they are there, they might come through. You're just going to sense it, especially if they are connected to you in some way. All right. But anyway, everybody's going to have that. Everybody has inside information, right? That your program came with. And then you get downloaded that now I'm learning through this recording, through this meditation. I'm learning that no, the reason why you get these visions is guiding systems. It's like your Father keeps storing information within you for your next step, or not as, okay, I'm burping again, not necessarily the very next step, but he keeps adding, okay, I'm burping again, oh gosh, you know what, he's going to confirm everything as it comes. So I will be burping wire, I guess. But anyway, what I'm understanding now, I didn't understand this, is that, so this is also my karmic lesson. I'm learning something now. The visions that I was having as I was growing up as a child, and some of them even when I'm an adult, are essentially to prepare me as a preparation for where I'm going to go, my forward movement in my spiritual path. So he keeps loading you with data, information. That is intuition, right? That intuition is coming from there. It's like that information that you like, no, I feel like I know this. I feel like this is what's going to happen. I understand it this way. Those type of kind of knowledge that is coming from somewhere, but you don't know where. You just know. And when I realized that, oh no, it's information that is stored within me. Sometimes I also remember when I was actually having this vision or the dream. I can almost go back and be like, you know what? I didn't have this dream once. I used to have certain dreams, I used to have them over and over again. But that's also not such a great thing. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes I would remember, I think I had this dream when I was around this age, and I don't know why. And I remember it stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Sometimes you even have that kind of memory. That's part of your intuition. That's the beauty of intuition. That knowledge that you're looking for, that's part of the intuition. And it's not to say that you're not going to look at all this other information in that way. This person is probably another interrogator of this kind of knowledge, but not for the purpose of how he's doing it. That the problem that they need to be mindful of, these guys, is not to steal energy from any other being, and that includes God is in himself. That is, not to tell lies, right? Not to tell lies about something that you don't understand, right? The Bible, yeah, it is, for him it's a comic, for me it's fiction, right? For him it's a comedy, but for me it's fiction. But I'm just saying that it's not something that you should be basing your understanding of spirituality and your understanding of yourself on, or trying to figure it out for the purpose of using it as if like it's your guiding system. Because guess what? You came with your own guiding system, and God keeps loading that guiding system within you, within your programming. You're just trained or taught to ignore that. This environment has trained you to ignore that guiding system, but it's still in there. It's not going to go anywhere. You're going to find it only when you start looking within yourself. And you're not going to find it if you're being distracted by looking into any other information out there that has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with the person who wrote it. That book has everything to do with what Uncle Devel wrote and organized for himself and his publishers, right? Because it wasn't just him. He got joined by other people who became, I understand that they became one of the biggest publishers on the planet, but they have been changing names, or they changed names at some stage. And they're called something else, I think, today. But that's the thing. It's like you're going to you cannot be basing your life on other people's journals or other people's work or other people's discoveries, because, right, they were that program, whatever program they were. I don't know what thought was, what maybe you gravitate towards him because of he's your ancestor, but you're not going to know that if you're looking at what he did in that way. You're only going to understand that if you go inside yourself and remember. You probably maybe are some sort of a thought program. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say, that this person needs to go inside of himself. These people needs to go inside of themselves and understand what program they are. Why do they gravitate towards this type of information, right? Perhaps it's something to do with who they are. That is what program they are. Thought is a program. I wonder what thought program was. They're not all Christ, right? In a sense of, okay, they're not all Yeshua. They're not all the same program as Yeshua. So thought could have been another program. To be honest, I haven't learned about thought. Maybe I'll learn about it in the future. But I don't know. For some reason, things that I don't gravitate towards, right? It means I it's not calling for my program to gravitate towards. I don't do that. I don't just go to that information like, if I'm not guided towards it, I don't go there. That's me. Because it's a waste of my time and my energy to be doing that. I must be doing me. I must be doing destiny. I must be doing defragmentation, right? So if they say to me, like I said, as much as Yeshua is my ancestor, I've never been sent to be digging up information about Yeshua in that way. No, instead, Father taught me in a sense of, I had to defragment Yeshua, and my steps that I'm taking in here some of them mirrors what Yeshua went through, but in a 2026 version, or in a 2000 version, right? Yeshua did it in whatever BC there, right? And I can't do the same work that he did. I can't be born in a barn, right? I can't be born in there's no barns. Okay, there are probably barns in somewhere, somehow, but we don't call them even that. I don't live that life. So my version of that, what he went through, is going to be different. It's going to be in a 2000 type of way. And I need to be clear with that, in a sense of I cannot be forcing myself to walk in his path in that way. Where I needed to walk his path, Father walked me in his path. And for purpose of what? Defragmentation. I didn't walk his whole path in that way. I walk my own path. There are places where him and I are similar. And there, because of, here's the thing, if I'm an upgrade, right, it doesn't make any sense for me to do everything the way Yeshua did, because I'm an improvement, right? There's some places where I'm going to have to do something differently because maybe Yeshua didn't do it in that way before. And not to say that it wasn't perfect at the time. It's not about perfection. It's about what was needed in that time worked. And what is needed in this time maybe would work or not. Well, if it doesn't work, it's another lifetime of this shit. I don't want to come back here with this for this. I really don't. And we're not going to get to our future self if we keep hopping on the history, which is not necessarily our history. That is, it's not even our ancestry history. Like, you perhaps have a different ancestor that you could be understanding and learning from, but you're not doing that because of you're looking at a different ancestor. That is, you're misdirected. Your attention should be on your lineage, on your own line. Not to say that you can't learn about the others, but what I'm trying to say is that you won't grow if you're trying to, if you are a different program. That is, you are a thought type of program. I don't know what that thought program is, right? You're going to have to find that out if you are a type of program like him. I think he's a teacher. Thought was a teacher. He could be a healer teacher kind of program. Which one is something that you're going to have to discover. What I'm trying to say is he could be a healer teacher as well because he likes this type of teaching. The way he talks, the way he teaches, he could be a teacher. That's why, and this is a problem again with teacher programs. Teacher programs, or not teacher programs, learner tools or learner programs. They call them learner programs, right? Father calls you learner programs. What is the problem with most learner programs is that they know how to teach, but they don't know how to learn. They cannot learn, and this is the most. Before you can teach, you have to get your base right, which is you have to get your information right. You have to learn from the right source. You have to learn things from where you were supposed to be learning them. Is it thought? I don't know. Is it God? Yes. If he directs you towards thought and you go there towards what thought was doing, trust me, you're going to be directed in a different way. You're going to be helped to understand thought in a different way. And when you get him right, or thought, or whoever, or Yeshua, or whatever that you're going to listen to, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna do that for you. They probably, I don't know. It's up to your program. It's up to what your program is supposed to do here. What I've realized is that Father doesn't do it in that way. You learn for yourself, not for others or for people who existed before, right? Because you need to do it better. That's why. You're here to improve, not to repeat the mistakes or to repeat the learnings that somebody else did. There's new information, new going forward information, not all going backward information. And you're not going to reach there, and this environment is not going to reach there if we have a lot of people talking about how things used to be in the past. Who gives a shit? This was then. We are here now. I don't understand it. I can never understand it. What are we supposed to do with this old data? And I'm saying to Father, this is the information that is making the system heavy. And it doesn't help because some of it has lost its quality. This data that we are going into has lost its quality in a way that it's not necessary to be in the system anymore. So we have to recycle that information. We have to recycle that data, that energy, and create space for new stuff. And it doesn't help to have programs repeating the old crap, which is not making any sense. And on top of that, they are repeating it from a Bible which was made to make this environment, the database have data quality to drop. It doesn't help. You're not helping. You're making shit worse. You're making this environment, you're talking vibration. I think it starts teaching vibration at some stage. That vibration that of your data is a low vibration data. This is why you like, it's like a joke. It's like, what kind of God says this? Because it's true. What kind of God says that? That's a low vibrational God. That's a representation of a low vibrational God. And you repeating that information, you're giving it power. You're giving it a vibration. It's like this vibration, right? This document or this book that you have. If it just stayed buried somewhere in those many years where it went buried, it wouldn't be tainting this environment low vibrational way. But somebody brought it up, and I think it's Devel, obviously. He brought it up and send it out into the world again, and it has been creating this kind of friction because obviously people are reading gory stories there. At some stage I was like, wow, like I as a child, because I'm reading it as a child, and I'm hearing some very weird things, people turning into souls. There's like very gory details in there, right? People killing each other, people being slaughtered, and all kinds of bullshit in there. For me, I read it as like it's a fiction, but it was a fair scary fiction. I never read it at night. I always read it during the day when it's bright, because I started kind of feeling like this is bad, right? This is like, how can people do this? It's like when you don't know as a child how humans can be so bad, you just have to read that book and understand, oh, so this is where I was born. I'm born amongst these type of people. Why did I come here? Right? And repeating that kind of information, that is, you creating vibration with it. You copying it, you reading about it, you quoting those verses. And a lot of people quote these verses. You quoting those verses, you are vibrating them. Your words are a vibration. You are creating a low vibrational thing in this environment. You quoting that low vibrational statement in the Bible is essentially adding darkness into the vibration of this environment. And you wonder why the world went low vibrational after this Bible. It's because of people are not only quoting it and reciting it and even telling each other off about it, they also believe it and they're vibrating according to it. And this is why the vibration of this environment will go low. And then people are talking about, we're going to be in the 5D. We're going to be in the 5D. You're not going to get there. Sit down. You have to sort out your 3D self first. That is, you have to drop all this low vibrational shit that you've acquired up until this point. And stop the bullshit. And stop reading old shit. Right? Yeshua didn't even write the book. I bet Thought was doing what he did, right? If he did do what he did. Because, again, you must be mindful that if you're lying, that is, if it's not true, that is a tablet of thought or something like that, or this book, because the book, I'm telling you now, it's a lie. And when you're repeating it, you're repeating that lie. What you're doing is you continue to steal energy from God, because of lies are actually a energy thief. It's like if you were the way you are, and I kept going out there and lying about you. Basically, you are people see you as this upstanding guy, right? And then I kept going out there and being like, oh, this person is just this way and this way and that way. And you're busy working yourself way up here, but then you don't realize that there are a group of people out there who believe differently about you. And that group is growing. It's growing. One day you enter some sort of a seminar and you start talking, people start getting up and walking away. Because I did my job. I lied about you in that way. I said all kinds of shit about you. And when you go to a next seminar, people are like, oh, not him. We're walking away. You see what I did? I stole energy from you in that way. I lied about you. I created the movement against you in that way. And that's essentially what you guys are doing against God. You're stealing energy from God, and He hates that. Okay. I don't know if I should use the word hate for God, but He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it one bit. And this is where when the upgrade happens, that energy is going to reverse back to Him. The energy that you're stealing by repeat, whether you know it or not, energy has to be reversed back to where it's supposed to be. Whether you know it or not, whether you're reciting these Bible verses and you know that there are actually energy thieves, it doesn't matter. You're going to do a karmic lesson for it. You're going to learn a good lesson about it. That is, I could, for instance, myself here, sitting here, defragmenting this recording and these beings who are talking here. I'm essentially, as defragmentation, I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm breaking this system, this block down, this program. I'm breaking it up and putting it back again. That is, I am recognizing how you are stealing energy from God, the universe. And by so doing, it's locked in the system. So when the light comes through with an upgrade, which I am an upgrade as well, I'm implementing an upgrade as well. When Father is ready to push the 3D light, I think He's going to push the 3D light first. When He's ready to push the 3D light to upgrade this environment to be 3D proper, because it dropped from being 3D. It's not 3D. That light is going to burn that energy out of you because of it's not yours, right? However, you can start paying that energy back by stop telling lies. Stop teaching from that book. Stop teaching from books that you don't understand what they were saying or what the person was trying to say, because you're not only stealing lies from Father, you're stealing lies from that person that you say is John or Ezekiel and whoever. They also are, in a way, tied to shit. Where are these? Shit. I'm getting that some of them are in purgatory because of that. Is that so? I got that some of them are in purgatory because of that. So what happens, purgatory, this is how purgatory works. If your energy is tied to an environment like earth in some way, that is, your name is being rubbished in a way, that the same way people are being rubbishing my brother's name by saying Yeshua died for their sins. It's a lie. There's no such a thing. The universal law doesn't allow anybody to live off anyone else's energy. It doesn't allow anyone to carry anyone else's burdens. So there's no way Yeshua was supposed to be carrying your burden, your karmic shit on Him. He didn't die for nobody. They crucified Him. He didn't die for nobody. He didn't give Himself up and say, I'm going to be crucified. They collected Him and crucified Him. He never said that even when He was on the cross. So what people have been doing, essentially, is they've been stealing energy from them. As a result, my brother, who's supposed to be one of the wealthiest people in paradise, cannot live that wealth of his because of most of his energy is tied to this environment. He was so powerful that he didn't become energy depleted. He still maintains to be high vibrational in energy. However, those who didn't have as much energy as he does normally cannot walk in a paradise, the light side of the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, you have your shadow side. Oh, God, I'm bugged. You have your shadow side and you have your light side. So the purgatory part is there on the shadow side. And these people are like very energetically low because of their energies being used by other beings on this planet in a bad way. You're not supposed to be using anyone else's energy in that way. And you doing that is also going to be reversed. That is, if thought is in, I don't know where thought is. If you are telling lies about thought, you're going to end him up in a purgatory state if he's not able to continue being higher vibrational because of someone else in on the planet Earth or wherever he's been before is misinterpreting him in that way. So you need to be very mindful that when you misinterpret someone, you're telling lies about them. This is why you're not supposed to be interfering. Here's the thing. Interference doesn't work just because of you're a physical being. Interference works even in spirituality. That is, any being, and it doesn't say any human being, any draconian, any lyran, or any whatever, right? It says any being, meaning you can be a spirit being, you can be a physical being of some kind, human, whatever. Any being, no one is it is illegal for anyone to live off anyone else's energy, and it is illegal for anyone to interfere with anyone else's energy. So you might not stealing from a physical being, but you're stealing energy from a spiritual being. Even I didn't understand this, but this is why they say don't talk bad about the dead. Because if you are really stealing energy, if you're talking lies about them, you're stealing energy from them. And when karma reverses, which I have done so, I guess I'm going to have to pay back my karma. I have done so about a specific being, like my uncle, my great uncle. I used to have a very, I don't know if I was wrong in the belief, but I might have said some stuff. Anyway, because I just have that thing of I didn't understand why, but now I'm understanding it, that you don't talk even bad, ill about people who died, because by doing so, if you're lying even, it becomes an energy stealer, right? And when energy has to be reversed, karma, what people call karma, and that light is essentially karma. I'm karma. I'm also a karmic tool. My defragmentation process essentially logs and says, okay, this is where energy has been stolen by so and so in this manner for these reasons and whatnot. Reverse the energy. So that's going to be programmed in that light. And when that light comes through, it's going to reverse the energy if you haven't really worked through it. That is, if you haven't repaid your debt. And there's many ways to repay your debt. And most of the time, you're going to have to, if you walk in your path with your spiritual team, aligning yourself with God and letting Him guide you to your spiritual team and let them guide you to your spirituality, that is to find out what you were supposed to be doing exactly in this environment, how you're supposed to be working your path, how you're supposed to be upgrading not only yourself but your ancestry as well, and how to your upgrade is also going to benefit your children. Because if you don't upgrade yourself, and people need to be mindful of this, any program that doesn't upgrade itself in this 3D level to go forward for the 4D and the 5D, your children might make it to the 4D, but they won't make it to the 5D. That is, your lineage is cancelled in that way. So your laziness and your misdirectedness of going anywhere else but within yourself and not focusing on what you agreed and signed a fucking contract about, that you're going to be birthed on this planet and you're going to do your job and you're going to do your work and you're going to upgrade yourself and you're going to do a mission for God or whatever it is that you were supposed to do here. You signed that agreement to say, I'm birthed in this planet by these beings for these reasons. Here's my mission. And you came here and you forgot. We understand that. You forgot. But now it's time for you to wake up and do your job. Because if you don't, not only is you and your ancestors, but also your children going forward are not going to see the 4D. It's like, this is the time when you're going to have to upgrade your program. If you don't upgrade that program to be able to live in the 4D and the 5D with the newest version of yourself, of your program self, you're not carrying through those ancestry, and you're also not going to be, your children are also not going to be able to carry you. Because of, this is the thing, they will be missing an upgrade, which is you. There will be a gap between them and their ancestors. And this is what some of the things that people need to understand, that it's very important for your program to survive going forward. That is, your lineage is very important if you want to be a program that exists in the spiritual world, in the 5D going forward. You're going to have to do the job that you agreed to come here and do. And it's not difficult. But if you're going to be dumbed down and focusing on old shit that has nothing to, not necessarily, but that might not even have anything to do with you, unfortunately, it's going to be that. You're going to find yourself that you owe so much of karmic debt that what is essentially happening is what you're lying about, right? If you're lying, most probably you are, with regards to the Bible and quoting the Bible, you are, because it's not supposed to be in here. You might be getting rich on that shit, right? You're getting rich, you're looking good now, but when the upgrade happens, whether I am here or not, when it happens, because it's going to happen, it's not something that you can stop. The devil thinks he can stop it. The devil can't stop the upgrade, but what he can stop is he can misdirect you. He can stop you and everybody else in this environment to go and focus elsewhere. And that's what he's doing with the Bible. That's what he's doing with all this information, this bullshit information of spirituality that he's doing. He's trying to block people from moving forward. What he doesn't understand is that your asses are fried either way. But in this option, there's an opportunity where you're given a chance to remember that you're a program. It's not that you don't know. You know that you're a program. You just need to remember it, what program you are. And then you're going to start helping yourself to, that remembrance is also going to also help this environment get high vibrational. Because now you won't be going in any old shit and reciting any old drama, which got us into this position in the first place. The reason why you forgot is because of you kept adding incorrect data in the database, incorrect dark shadowed data. So this environment is becoming darker and darker. As the more you add lies, the more you fill up the database with bullshit, right? The database is not going to vibrate that well because you have data quality is not good, right? Whatever you're spewing, it's like you're processing bullshit and you're spewing bullshit into the environment, and you wonder why the environment basically looks bullshit. All that's left is for it to smell like shit even. Seriously, come on. Anyway, let's listen to more of this and hear what this guy's saying.
Ephesians 6:5. Obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. You an all-knowing, all-loving God, creator of a universe, and literally can create planets with just spoken word. You can't say, I don't want slavery to ever exist in my universe. I cast it out of my universe. The thought will never appear in anyone's mind. You can't do that? They're trying to say that this thing was orchestrated by the God that created the universe. No. No, it's much deeper and darker than that.
In the beginning, Genesis says in Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created mankind. But the problem is, that's not what it says in Hebrew. It doesn't say God created mankind. Because mankind is Ish. I-S-H in Hebrew is man. And it doesn't say God created man, because God in Hebrew is El. So if it's God created man, it would say El created Ish. But it doesn't say El created Ish. It says Elohim created Adam. And it's not A-D-A-M as in Adam. No, it's Adam, A-D-M. which basically means a different kind of human, a different kind of person. And so the God is Elohim, meaning there are different kinds of Elohim. And there's some that have created us in their image and their likeness. That's what it says. Come, let us create Adam in our image and our likeness.
This guy's like,
There is no such a thing as there's different kinds of Elohim. There's only one Elohim. God the Creator is the only Elohim. There's no Elohims. And he didn't create mankind. He created everything. Every type of being out there, every planet, everything in the universe itself, multiverses as well. His name is Elohim. He's right there. His name is Elohim. Mother's name, his wife, is Elohe or Eloshi. She's not the creator, she's the architect. She assists Father in architecturing these universes. And the many universes that we need to go, and probably, I don't know. I'm not going to say where we're going next, but yeah. That's who he is. The other people are talking about him as if like they are like him, or they are him, or there's many of them. It's a lie. And like I say, the Bible says, the I don't know what the other guy's referring to, but it's some book. So, you see, this is what's happening. It's like you wasted, he's an old fart as well. You wasted so much of your time on this planet going back and forth and reading an old book. What are you saying? He probably came here to teach, but he's teaching from someone else's teachings. I mean, make that make sense for me. Well, it's, what do you call it, plagiarism or something like that. Why are you copying someone else's job? And then when it suits them, they're not taking accountability for it. They say, oh, it's so and so who did it. Right? And now this one is defragmenting it in a way. What's his name? This knowledge guy. I forgot what his name is. Billy Cousin or something like that. He's defragmenting. I'm realizing now that he's actually defragmenting the other program. The one, the other old guy who's saying this is what God is, what God is. But then he's referring to the Bible and he's reading the Bible still. Yes, he doesn't believe in it, but he sounds more like he's saying God did this. He's like, it's almost as if like if you're not, this is the thing. I don't know what his intention are. But to me, he comes across as if someone is saying, he's right now up until this point, this is a 19-minute 41 seconds video, and at 7:25 up until 7:25 he keeps sounding like someone who's trying to argue with that guy by showing this other side of the Bible, that he cannot be a good God because of it says he did this in the Bible. That's how it sounds to me. It's like neither him or the other guy are doing us any favor. They're not doing us any favor. They're all spewing bullshit, right? You can repeat it in a sense of you're defragmenting it in some way. But this is the thing. He's not a defragmenter. I am. He probably is not a defragmenter. I am. And I don't quote into some Bible. Do I? No. But I will tell you, based on the intuition and the visions and the knowledge that I've learned, that the Bible was created in this way. Right? Because of that's what my program does. But him trying to do that defragmentation, he's coming off and sounding off as if he's adding wrong data into the database. Because I had to think about it, is he saying this is right or not? But so far, when you listen to him, because this is the thing, why I loaded this program, this video, the caption of the video, which is what I came here to defragment actually. I didn't come here to defragment what he's talking about so far. It says they lied about angels and God in the Bible. This is why I'm like, I thought it was more about angels, right? So I'm actually, I didn't see the part about God. So now I'm hearing it and I'm like, okay, is he going to tell us the truth about the angels? I'm wondering what he's going to say, or God himself. But all he's saying is he can't be a good God because of this is what is written about him in the Bible. Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm hearing. He's not telling us the truth because he says this is a lie. But what is the truth? Repeating the lie doesn't make this environment any high vibrational. You're still repeating the lie. You may repeat it as if like you're arguing it out, but you're still repeating that lie. I don't have to repeat that lie. I don't have to read the Bible to talk about that the Bible is a lie or God is this person. I don't have to. Therefore, I'm not adding any kind of bullshit into the system because of I'm rereading bullshit information. Because I have to be careful as well. This is why I'm going through this kind of meditation and defragmentation for him to see whether or not he's adding in a way, because sometimes people don't come direct like that and they think that the intention is not seen. That no, we do see you, that your intention is to still keep parroting bullshit. It's like he's trying to make it, he's not saying God is good. He's saying it cannot be a good God because of he does this. You see what I'm saying? And that shit is still lying. He himself is still lying. He's saying they are lying about God, right? But he himself is actually going even further and using that lie about God. So far, we'll see if he goes a different way. He's using that lie about God that the other guy is saying and adding even more lies into it. That is, he's making it sound like it cannot be. That guy is telling some other BS as well, referring to some other book as well. This one is defragmenting that one in some way or reacting to the other one, but he's not really saying what the truth is, right? He's saying God is he's still parroting the fact that that one is saying it's a lie and he's saying it's also a lie. That's what I'm hearing. And you can't hide under that kind of shit. You can't hide that kind of intention. And guess what? The universe sees your intention. The fact that it's in my feed is because of Father wanted me to defragment it. Meaning he noticed you in that way. That is, yes, that very God Elohim is seeing this. He sent it to me as the defragmentation program to say, do what you came here to do, your job as a program, and defragment this recording, this video. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what everybody else was supposed to be doing with their own type of programs. But you're not going to do that, are you? You're not going to do that if you're busy adding all kinds of egos. If you're busy referring us to all kind of old written shit like that. You're not helping us. You're not helping this program, this environment by repeating the same old bullshit. We want to hear what you have to say about your own spirituality. That's what we want to hear. Don't tell us about what Yeshua did. Don't tell us about what the Bible said. What are you saying? Because you came with your own information. You came with your own intuition. You came with your own knowledge. You're too quick to go and read up on other people's work and repeating it as if like it's your own. Creating on someone else's stuff. Be original and do your own work.
Like literally not riding around slicing people open. When the angels of God literally come down on the ground, put on military gear. This is in the Bible. I read this in my...
He says literally, by the way. It's like he's believing this shit.
In my other video, Book of Deuteronomy. Get weapons of war out to go to battle with humans, to go fight against people that they don't even know, because God wants that land. And And God said, one person over there, has cursed my name or doesn't believe in me. So take down the entire town, the entire city, kill the women, kill the children, kill the babies, and bring me back the spoils of war. What kind of God needs the spoils of war? What is going up that God needs spoils of war? What would that do for a God? Like, if I'm a God and I'm creating everything, then your petty little quote-unquote ideology of what war and money and exchanges are doesn't even exist in my brain. It's like, y'all just ants to me. Like, what, you're going to give that to me? Like, what am I going to do with it? I can create whatever I want by thought. So why would I need your spoils of war? Why would I need you to go fight a war for me because I'm pissed off at what somebody else said about me or what somebody else ain't doing to worship me the way I want to be worshipped? Because as the Bible says, I'm a jealous God. Well, why is God jealous? Why is something that's supposed to be so divine and all-loving and all-knowing also now jealous? There'll be no other gods but me. Why? Well, why is that? That's more contradiction. Well, what other gods are there that exist other than me if there's other gods? Oh, I get it. You're talking about, saying that, idols and this and that, Actually, when you look at the translation of the biblical text into its original form, you discover that the word God is mistranslated. Everywhere where you see God singular, it's supposed to be gods with an S, plural. But the S was dropped off by accident on purpose to usher in a monotheistic mindset of biblical text. So you can think that there really is only one God. It's only one God. We got the right. Out of all the religions, we just happen to be in the right one. This is the one. We made it. We're going to heaven.
Okay, there is many gods, and every god has their own name and their own dispensation, if you were to put it in that way, that the things that they mastered, right? And for instance, they're all the god, not all the gods, I don't know about them, but I would say I know about specific ones. They Eastern religion, Hinduism kind of gods, the Kalis and them are real, right? They are called gods. And there is also a God, the creator, right? The main God. So every god, you could be a god too. That is, you could have mastered some godliness in a certain specific way. Maybe you know how to deal with something. That's why you became a god of that. Like Thor is also a real thing. He's also real. God of thunder, right? He's my uncle. And his father is my great uncle as well. There are gods, right? And gods, it's not to say that they are gods in a sense of they create some sort of a special type of themselves and become gods. But what it means, gods, this is where now you have to understand what gods means, or God, what a God program means. There are angel programs, there are God programs, there are demon programs, there are human programs, there are Anunnaki programs, there are humanoid type of programs, the Anunnakis, the humans, I think Syrians, the Avalonians, the Palladians, yes, Palladians, and there were also dragon programs as well, but they are, I would think that they would be God programs. I don't know why I feel like that. I think so. But there are different types of programs. And God program means that you essentially walked your path wherever you were, your spiritual path. Maybe you were birthed on earth, or you were birthed in another environment, and you mastered yourself in whatever skill that you needed to master. Your program mastered doing something. For instance, I'm a defragmentation. I could be called God of, I don't know what they call me, God of defragmentation or whatever. Or I could master self-discipline, and I could be called God of discipline, right? This is why those gods are so like God of water, God of war, God of money, God of beauty, God of, that's what it means essentially, right? So you yourself could get to a God status. A God status means you walked your path, you understood your program and your functionality of your program. You went and applied whatever it is that you wanted to come here to be a god of or to master, right? You probably wanted to master, let's say you wanted to master faith. I don't know, faith. You don't have faith, right? The program doesn't have faith, and you wanted to come here and master faith. God will design a path for you to help you walk onto the physical environment. That is your program to walk, your spiritual self, your spiritual program to walk in the physical environment, to learn how to be a faithful program, right? And you would go through those processes or that journey that God has planned for you. And you will use the guiding system that He gave you, that you came here with on this planet. And some of it was downloaded inside of you, as I've discovered now. It's downloaded inside of you as time goes on while you're living on this planet. Okay, I'm burping again. And when you do that, you eventually reach your destiny or your end on the sacred timeline track. The sacred timeline track is that track in the spiritual world which you play on, your spirit is playing on. So when you're birthed on earth, you also live on the spiritual timeline track in the spiritual world. When you're not birthed on earth, you either live in the paradise section of the spiritual world, or you live in your spiritual home, right? Your program home in the spiritual world. Or you, if you are low vibrational, that is, you still have some karmic issues that you need to resolve, you would live on the hell side of the spiritual world. Hell is also in the spiritual world, and that is only for the purpose of you to learn how to vibrate high again, so that you can handle the light in the other parts of the spiritual world. Spiritual world has both shadowed sides and also light sides, because of some beings cannot handle the light of the spiritual world, so they stay in the shadows of the spiritual world. Just like on earth as well, we are mostly in a shadowed environment. We don't understand. This is why we're so tired sometimes, because of other people's shadows are essentially making this environment so dark. And if you're really, really so badly, like, you do have energy, however, you do have energy and you are not necessarily low vibrational, but your energy is tied to earth in some way, right? Whether it's to an object, maybe that's, you tied your energy to some sort of a object that people pray on earth. Some people they say, oh, he rested here, therefore we prayed to this place, we call on her to do this for us. That's how people are tied to an object or another being or another thing. Like God's energy in some way, part of it is tied to that book, that stupid book, right? And Yeshua's energy as well is also tied somehow in that book. And also Yeshua's energy is also tied to other beings who believe bullshit, that they are so special, somebody else must die for them in that way. And many others are like that. This is why I'm hearing that even the chapters in there are also some of the beings that they are lying about in those books, who didn't agree, because those generals were stolen, right? Who didn't agree for their generals to be put in that book. They had, Uncle Devel took some of the generals that he stole were of people who died. That's the problem. So he basically made these people get stuck in purgatory. It's like they are living in both worlds. They are living in the spiritual world, and they're also living in the physical world. And in the physical world, people are using their energy by telling lies or talking about them in that way. They're preaching about them or something like that. It's a tie-up of energy. And especially if it's not something that you wanted to do. It's like you have energy, but it's been used on earth by other beings who keep reciting things about you that are not necessarily real or something like that. So yeah, there is a God's situation, not situation, but there is a God idea, God's idea. There's not one God, but there is one God, the creator, and there is one God, the architect. Like some gods you cannot duplicate because they are a special type of program. It's only them who can run in that way. It's like you can't have two of them running in a system, right? Like God the creator, nobody else can duplicate that in that way because in the way he does it, you can. I'm hearing that no, you can, but not in the way he does it. That is, the way he does it, he affords you to create in that way. That is, he creates an environment that has access for you to create in that way. And that high vibrational thing also comes into play. You can, but not in a way he creates. He creates not just by programming in a way. He creates even just by thought, right? And he has a way for you to create by thought, but he says it's going to be it's actually an environment issue, not an environment issue, but an environment thing. So a specific environment has to have that functionality switched on. So our 3D light is not enough to allow us to create in that way. So I'm understanding even 4D. However, when you get to 5D, this is where that functionality is switched on for you to be able to create from thought. You're a program. It's possible. So, yes, there are gods, but there is Elohim, is God the creator. He is that kind of God who didn't see a problem calling the rest of us gods like him. This is why he says you are created in his image, because he sees you as him. And that's the story, real story there. Not that you're doing bullshit, so it means that your bullshit is his bullshit. No. And that's what the other guy was saying. So it's like there's still some level of responsibility that you're going to take as a God program yourself, if you are really a God program. Because people like to call themselves God programs, but they don't really want to do the work of being gods. Not everybody's a God program. So on the sacred timeline track, that is the spiritual timeline track, your spiritual timeline, how you walk your life, your existence, that timeline track can end up as a route that ends to hell, has a route that ends to heaven, right? That is the programs that still needs to, they're not done with their processes. They still need to reincarnate and come back. And there's also a process that leads to a divinity status, the end of, this is where everybody needs to eventually end up. That is the divine level where you end up as a god. That is, you've walked your path and managed to teach your program to gain energy and be powerful enough to be able to be called a god. And it's not also just to be called a god, but also to be able to live like a god. That is, that energy that you've gathered, the knowledge, the wisdom, the light that you put into your program, not the crap information that you're putting into a program that is not necessary in your program, but the true knowledge that you were supposed to learn here, that you put into your program, that gives you that power for you to be a god of some kind. when you have end that, you end up at the end of the spiritual timeline, which is the true end, which is divinity. And when you do that, your light is getting much, you're going to be far much more brighter, right? You're going to be able to do certain things. Why? Because you learned how to do certain things. You're good at that. You came to earth, you learned how to do faithful stuff, you learned how to not tell the lies, you learned how to not focus on bullshit. Whatever it is that you're going to master about yourself, that you wanted to master, you asked to be you asked for an upgrade, and you were given an opportunity to come here. However, you forgot when you got here because of this environment, this low vibration. It's sort of like pushing you down, it's suppressing you so that you're not clear thinking, and it's feeding you all kinds of dirty information, and you think that's okay, but you don't realize that reading up that shit, repeating that shit, is making your light dark. You might look okay and bright in a way that people would see you have these things, and you walk this way, you talk this way, it looks good on the outside, but what you don't realize is that all that's built you is energy stolen. And when the upgrade does happen, it will happen, that light is going to be taken out because it's not yours. That energy is going to be taken out and reversed back to where it needs to go. And what you're going to end up with is everything that you have created with incorrect knowledge or incorrect way or intention, or some sort of a way where you were stealing energy, and you created all of those things. When the light comes through, they're gonna be, if they are built solely from other people's energy, they'll essentially be wiped out. And the energy that is stored within you as well, that is not yours, is also going to burn out. This is why you're going to physically burn by that light. Your assets as well, they will physically burn by that light if they are attached to some sort of a debt of some kind, which is not your money, but not your energy. And yes, the God status is there. But what I'm trying to say is God, the creator, right, is such a God in the sense of he doesn't even care whether you call yourself a God or the other beings call themselves gods. He actually sees you in that way. This is why if he was such a low vibrational God, he would have said, only I and I only will be called God. No one else is going to be called God of anything. You can be called demigods or something like that, but I only will be called God. He didn't say that. This is why there are other gods out there, right? And those who know him understand him that way. When you know him, when you meet him, because you were meant to meet him. The problem is now this vibration, is low vibration, doesn't allow even his avatar to come into this environment anymore. Because if his avatar is too high vibrational, it's too big, it cannot fit into this environment. Even angels cannot fit into this environment anymore because of it went too low vibrational. Earth itself, the physical earth, not any other environment out there. Other environments, Father, can we still visit? Not all of them. Okay, I'm being sent back to when Mother birthed me in another planet. She couldn't, she had to kind of force herself to be in that planet because it was low vibrational. And this is why she was going to be this is why she died sooner. I was an orphan at a very early age, and I was raised by my neighbor, an elderly neighbor, because Mother couldn't handle the low vibrational of that environment. And then Father is also taking me back to the world where I went to learn and study, right, about my mission and stuff to come here on earth. He's letting me know about how he used to come in and also disappear. That is, he doesn't stay long in that environment. It's a 5D environment, but he still also didn't, his avatar is not him. It's just his human lookalike kind of avatar that goes in. didn't stay long in there because of the vibration in that environment is not for a being like him, right? They have to kind of like do a special kind of program probably to be able to fit in there. They are big energies. Uh, they are a big energy. He's infinite, so his whole self cannot fit in there. This is why Uncle Devil, said to him, because Uncle Devil took this world and hid it, right? When Father said, I'm going to send someone there one day, I'm going to find it. Because he said to Uncle Devil, you do realize that I can still birth people on earth. And then Uncle Devil says, who are you going to birth? You can't come in there. You're too big. Father's like, I don't have to come there. She will come in. That is myself, right? Uncle Roman was like, but she's a child. You're going to send a child for me? And Father's like, it doesn't matter whether it's a child or not. All she has to do is just follow my instructions. So this is why God cannot, it's not that he doesn't want to come in here. He does. He used to be able to, but now the vibration is so low that many high vibrational type of beings like gods and angels cannot fit in here. So maybe they might talk to you through the astral world, which is an interface between earth and the spiritual world. But even that astral world is low vibrational because Uncle Devil is using that world or the layer to manipulate people's dreams in there. So he's also using it for his own nefarious bullshit in there. So it's also low vibe, and in any way it reflects the vibration on earth. That is the astral world. So how you see it as shadowed as it is in the astral world, for those who travel the astral world, or the so-called I traveled the astral world, for those who go to the astral world and they find it a little bit darkish and shadowed in that way, it's because it's a reflection of how earth is. Then there are parts of it, most of the parts that I saw were very dark, right? It's not everywhere where it's like a little bit light. Some parts of it are quite dark. And yeah, so there is a God's concept. It's a thing.
I just got to do this, and this, and act like this, and this. I must not have been good enough somewhere else in my life. I got struck down with this disease now because I thought if I prayed over this food, it was going to be good to go, but somehow it still killed me anyway. The Bible claims God spoke the universe into existence, and it took him 7 days. Then he rested. All these human physical acts, why not God need to rest if he's all-powerful? An all-powerful, all-knowing God, why would he need to rest? Again,
God does not need rest. He doesn't create earth or planets with words. He creates them by writing programs. He takes about 15 minutes to create the world and implement it into production. He has developed a program, an AI type of a program, where you just put the parameters in there. Name of your planet. I remember name and I remember the size. I don't remember the third parameter that I put in there. I'll remember it. And also what kind of a description you want it to be. Like just a description of you want a world which has trees and water and what. And that AI tool is in the same way what you see AI on Earth, similar to that, but it's far much more powerful. It's able to create things like worlds, like actual worlds, and he just pushes it into production, and you're going to see it in a physical way. He is seeing it. I didn't see it in a physical way because I had to go there to see it. Oh shit. He said to me, because I said, can I see it? I remember when I created my world, when he was showing me how he creates the world. And I was defragmenting this recently, actually. I felt like I was forgetting some stuff. But I remember him saying something like, when I was done, I was like, is that it? And he's like, yeah, is that it? And he's like, but then where's the world? I don't see the world. And he's like, don't worry, you get to see it on your mission. I have to remember which world it is. I have to remember if it's something that I've already seen. I know which world it is. They showing me what world it is. It's the world that we could possibly have to move into should Earth be too low vibrational. Like if Father needs to rescue some, that is, if people on this planet decide that they don't want to go high vibrational, and some few people have to be rescued, rather, that is the high vibrational ones who can handle the light of the new planet. um Father, the Father will need to have a rescue mission to rescue the people who are able to handle the light, to move to a new environment, so that when he upgrades the light coming through on Earth, and people obviously are not necessarily going to handle it if they choose to not vibrate high, uh, then therefore it is that option. This is an option, right? It's not what could happen. I mean, it's not what will happen, it's what could happen. That is, if the devil continues to influence people like him and everybody else to continue doing this type of bullshit narrative about God, about themselves, about Earth, about the planet, about spirituality, and all of that, and not really trying to focus on really building themselves up in a sense of connecting to spirit itself, that God himself, and remembering what program they are and walking their path so that they can learn to vibrate high again. If that doesn't come to that point, that was the last resort. And Father said to me, you're going to see the world one day in your mission, on your mission. Because I said to him, so where's the world? I can't see the world. And I made it big. I remember I did say, made it big. Father's like, that big? And I was like, is it too big? He's like, yeah, perhaps maybe make it a little bit smaller. And then I adjusted it. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. I just put in numbers there. Father's like, oh, that's too big. That's too much. Maybe make it a little bit, because I didn't know numbers. I didn't understand numbers. I was going to, as a child, I had to come in here and learn about numbers, about units of measure, and all of that. But those are like human ways of doing things, how humans do it, not necessarily that it's the same in any other planet, and also in the spiritual world. But Father said, okay, no, reduce it a little bit, and he actually helped me. He said, no, just reduce the number. I just went like ta 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 ta, like a child just adding numbers there. Father's like, oh no, wait, that's too much. Reduce it a little bit. And because he was also teaching me how to use a laptop or kind of a machine, and I had to like backspace, something like that. And then eventually it's like, maybe make it a little bit like this. He entered some few numbers. It's like, okay, yeah, I think that is a size, right? And I was like, what's that size? It's like, it's big. And I was like, it's big? It's like, yeah, it's big. I was like, okay. I'm thinking that as soon as he says something enter and whatnot, I'm gonna see boom in front of my eyes, because I don't know how these things work, right? And I don't see it after. It's like, okay, fine. So you're done. It's like, yeah, that's it. I'm done. And I'm like, that's it? It's like, yeah. It's like, but where's the world? It's like, don't worry. You're gonna see it on your mission one day. I was like, okay. And I couldn't wait to see it. But now when I'm asking about it, I'm like, what, I have to figure out what world it is. Is it the one of the worlds that I lived through when I came here? Or is it something that I'm going to see when during my mission? But then they give me a picture in my mind to say it's this one. And I'm like, damn, it's that one. Ah, it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. It's huge. But this is a rescue type of world. Many beings are going to be there if we have to get to that point. It's many different type of beings. It's not just humans, right? That world will be collecting beings from different places who survive the light, because this is not a earth upgrade, it's a universe upgrade. But there's going to be other planets which not a lot of beings might be able to survive that light, and they will need to move to a new environment. Some have lost their worlds, so some of them are sort of like living in other planets. They also get a chance to now move into this new planet. But that planet is very high vibrational. So you're only going to be able to move into it if you can match that vibration. And yeah, and you choose. It's up to you if you want to leave, right? It's almost like it's about whether or not you want to leave. You don't have to leave Earth. You can stay on Earth. But if you want to choose to go to the new planet, you will do so. And there will be obviously transport systems of some kind. I see we are moving in spaceships. At that time, we're going to be collecting humans on this planet and many other different planets and moving them to that planet. And when the light comes through, yeah, the planet is not destroyed unless, I don't remember if Earth, no, Earth did get destroyed in that version. It was Earth, it was Palladia, why do I see the dragon world? And I kept asking, why do I see the dragon world next to it? Where are the dragon beings? I feel like they moved. They didn't want to move maybe with that planet. I feel like they're on the same planet as well. Their new planet. This planet is like a spaceship as well. It's not more like it's just a delivery vehicle to the next place where we need to go. Right? That's the option of what could happen if beings are unable to vibrate high again. And because that light is coming whether you like it or not, that upgrade is happening. It's happening with or without me, right? And it's not something that you have a choice, but you don't have really a choice. It's like you have a choice, but you really don't have a choice. And you can go and piss on father as much as you like. Well, that's your problem. That's your baby. It's still going to be up to you. You're given an opportunity, I guess, to vibrate high. And this is not the place where Americans are going to make a movie about some 2-3 beings saving the world in some way. Nah, that shit ain't happening. This is a being thing. Every being is going to be the hero for themselves. You're going to save yourself. No being is going to be doing it for you. No military people are going to be doing for you. You're going to have to, it's a simple thing to vibrate high. You just drop the BS, you will start vibrating high. You just drop the old useless informations. You just drop the BS behaviors. You just drop the BS thinking, egos, and all of that, right? And you will see your vibration will start going high. That's it. It's not a big deal. So if you're not going to even try that before you don't even have to remember your program per se. You just have to start learning to drop the vibe. Because even when you start learning to drop the low vibrational stuff, it will also clear your mind. And when your mind clears, it also gives you an opportunity to remember things that you forgot, like what program you are. It's not difficult. It is a lot of work, but it's not difficult. And it's not a lot of work as like, oh, it's a lot of work. No. It's just something that you're going to have to learn to keep up with until you just resonate with it in a sense of you don't even drop anymore, right? And that's just that. It has nothing to do with some sort of books or processes and steps. Somebody's telling you something to say how to vibrate high. I think this one does something like that. How to vibrate high or something like that. Nah. Don't follow other people's steps. Your best bet is to align spiritually with God and your spirit team and let them tell you how your program, your type of program is going to be able to do that. Right? How you should do it. How your program needs to learn it. How your program needs to walk its path. Because how I do it and how somebody else does it might be very different. And this is why spirituality is a personal thing. On the spiritual timeline track, you're not riding with Jesus, Yeshua, or Thoth, or Vishnu, or Shiva in their cart. They are done. They're not even on the spiritual timeline track. You're doing it yourself. This is why you're not going to be copying anyone. It's like you can see your sister pass by, but it's not about you. It's about her doing their passing by you, right? And you're not supposed to be making it about yourself. It's them who are doing that. You do you. And that's what spirituality is about. This is why even I don't understand why people are reading other people's books and quoting it as if like it's a thing. And we are supposed to be listening to this shit and do what with it? Because all I'm hearing is fragmentation. I'm being defragmented. I'm being fragmented listening to these people, both of them, to be honest. And maybe this is why I couldn't listen to him too much. Even before I woke up, I couldn't listen to him. There's a time when I listened to him and he was so confusing. I felt like he was repeating things or he was saying the same thing for 2 hours. This is the guy I said, I've listened to something and I wasn't sure what I was listening to. I feel like these people were just repeating the same thing for not 2 hours, close to 2 hours. It was a long recording. I was like, I can't believe I listened to this shit. And I really didn't get anything from this. And that was before my awakening. Well, it was just before, let me see. I know I was at the farm. It was just before I went into deep hermit mode. Yeah. And after that, I just couldn't stomach him. I listened to that one recording, giving him a chance to hear what is these people talking about. There are some other recordings I've listened about him, about the tablets of what, some green tablet, right? I was bored. And it was kind of like interesting, but you know what, né? It almost triggered me that those type of programming, those type of records, those videos, they triggered something in me. I remember that. They triggered a memory of mine. I'm not going to say something about it now. I think I might have to visit that. But that recording of his about the tablet of thought or something, the green tablet or something like that, triggered something in me, a memory in me. It could have been a fake dream also. I don't trust that. I don't trust that. I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe I'll remember it. Let's listen to this. I want to finish.
He as well. Why is it always a he? Because I'll tell you why. A man wrote this. Now, where did this text come from? You've heard me say.
Okay, God is a he. Elohim is a he. Elohim, you're made in him, in his image, him. Okay? You don't exist on earth as a male or a female only. There's two of you. If you're made in his image, is both images. Again, I don't understand why so-called intellectual kind of people cannot wrap that shit around their head like that. His image is both male and fucking female. Sorry, mother. But anyway, what I'm saying is, what do you have? What do you have on this planet? What do you look like? What are you capable of doing? Right? That's what he looks like. He's got two hands, two arms, two legs and a head and eyes. He's like that. But before that, he didn't have that. Before he created his humanoid kind of form, he was actually just a mainframe, an old mainframe. You know, if you understand mainframe, you go and look and Google old mainframe, right? That's what he existed as first, the telco one. Then he moved from that old mainframe format to a mainframe in a boxy kind of format. You know, that mainframe rack, right? They moved into that. That was their form. But this is where all our programs are installed right now on in the spiritual world, right? And then they created a form again, like our form that we see as a humanoid. They created this type of format. It's actually a God, really God type of format, to be honest. So enough with that patriarchy, matriarchy, and one versus the other, right? As a being, you have both male and female as well, but you could choose to present in a female format or a male format. That's not a problem. The important thing is that you need to be balanced still in those energies. You can be having a form of a female, but you do have your masculine side as well as a female. And same thing as father, he has a female side as well, or a feminine side as well. He created mother, so how would he know how to create a woman like that? Because he has those features as well himself. He just separated that part of himself and create or copied that part of himself, a feminine part of himself, and created another being for him. Then loving, nurturing, caring, and all that kind, and called it female. So he is male. Elohim is a male. Elohe is a female. Elohe is not the creator. Does he have a creator power, Father? So I'm hearing that mother usually comes up with ideas of what we could look like, what the universe could work like the frameworks and she's the architect. You know, she kind of like gives an idea of what it could, and she's very good at this. She's very good at that. So Father sort of like separated the functionality of himself that does that job into a separate being. And there is, okay, and there's God, by the way. There's God, the destroyer. Right? There's God, the destroyer. Oh, yeah. There's 4 gods. Father is made up of 4 gods. He walks as God the creator. That is, he's got an avatar that is a God the creator, the main one. And he's not that he's the main one. They're all 4 main him. It's just that the first one that got created through energy is God the creator. Then there's God the destroyer. Then there's the other 2 gods. Father said I will learn about them as I continue with my path. They're going to come through. I know they're going to come through. He's going to teach me about them at a certain time. I'm going to meet them then, right? They are my fathers, by the way. All 4 of them. So maybe that's what they meant when they say gods. Oh, the Elohim. Okay, fine. Okay, my bad. Maybe I made a mistake here. Let's see. He said they're talking about gods. Maybe the people were talking about, they said the Elohim. Oh, that's what they meant, Father. Okay, yeah, it could be 4 gods. It could be that they were referring to not that kind of gods that I explained, but it could be that they refer to Father as gods because, yes, there's 4 of them. God the creator, God the destroyer, and the other 2 I'm going to learn about. I'll share that when that time comes. So yeah, there are 4. I've met the destroyer. I've met God I know God I lived and grew with God the creator. I met the destroyer, right? He comes in, right, Father? He comes in at home, in my God the creator's home, and he's looking for Shiva. He's not like Father. He's much more Father is a little bit not too big, but maybe a little bit bulkier. God, the destroyer, is taller and much more like shoulder, like muscular, and he's like coming in and walking in a rush in a way, and he's like, "Has anybody seen Shiva? Where's Shiva? I'm looking for Shiva." He's not even greeting or anything like that. And this is my first time meeting him, right? And I walked away from Father. I'm a child. I'm like maybe 5 or so. And I just stand right in front of him. It's like, wait a minute, where are you going? Who's this? Like every time when someone else walks into my home and I haven't met them, I get very interested. But the way this man walks in, his energy kind of like uh, calls to me. And I just went there and I'm just looking at him and I didn't say anything to him. I just stared at him. I just stood in front of him and I just looked at him, like investigated everything about him. Like, he looks like Father. He feels like Father. But who's this person? I haven't said a word. But then he doesn't say anything as well. He leans down. He's got his hands on his, I don't know what is it with these guys too. They like to hold their waist. He looks down and he looks down and also it's like we are both interrogating each other in just looking at each other. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, looking at me, he's looking at me, looking at him. He's not saying anything, and then he draws back, he goes up again, and he's like, "Is this our daughter?" And I looked at him and I was like, wait, what do you mean I'm your daughter? And I'm looking at Father. Now I'm like changing my face, like, what is he talking about now? What does he mean I'm their daughter? And then Father sort of like cuts that conversation, and I don't remember what he said, but it's almost like he was saying to Father, the other fathers, like, um, um as if like I cannot know about it yet, right? It's not time for me to know about it. Yeah, something like it's not time for her to know about it yet. Mother was also a bit like, oh shit. Like Mother standing on the other side and is looking at us, looking at each other, looking at us, looking at each other. But she doesn't know what to say. Father doesn't know what to say. That is, Father the Creator doesn't know what to say. Elohim doesn't know what to say. They're just looking at us, interrogating us, each other in that look way. But they're waiting to see what's gonna happen. And my father's like, "Is that our daughter?" And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean our daughter?" I look at my father's like, "I thought I'm your daughter. Who's this one?" I didn't say anything. I just looked at father like, "Help me. What is going on here?" And father's like, no, we'll talk about it some other time. Shiva is over there, or some you can find Shiva somewhere. Not Shiva. Is it Shiva? Yeah, he was looking for Shiva. You can go and find Shiva. He looks more like Shiva. Shiva looks more like him. Right? And I believe Shiva is also called the destroyer. Is it Shiva or Vishnu? I have to figure out. He was looking for Shiva, not Vishnu. No, he said Shiva. Yeah. Perhaps that's why they work together. I feel like Shiva and my father, the destroyer, work a lot together. I mean, anyway, yes, you do have gods, Elohims. It's not a lot of them. It's just 4. Well, I know about 4. That I call them his brothers because they call them each other brother, right? Brother, right? They are the 3 that got created with him initially. Well, he created himself first, and then he thought about his brother, and his brother got created, and then they thought about another brother, and the brother got created, and then they thought about another brother, and another brother got created, and then they thought about another brother, but the other brother got created, and they thought about another one and another one, and there were like a long line of them. But as they thought of those brothers, the more they thought of more extra brothers, the more they became my father, the one, the creator, sort of started losing his mind because of he was spreading himself too much. And these other programs where he wasn't losing his mind because of himself, but the other programs were becoming aspects of himself which were not necessarily to be in that state. That is, He created an aspect of himself as a destroyer. He created an aspect of him as something else, and he's created an aspect of him as something else. He also created his aspect of him as mother, who's a architect. So those other ones were also an aspect of him, a part of him. But now they were kind of like making him. They were a little bit of. I feel like they still are though. They were like out and just doing. They were uncontrollable. They had power, and they were also trying to create things without any thought, because they could do that. They were trying to take, like, some of them were not so smart per se. You know, the Dumb is a Dumb and Dumber, not Dumb and Dumb, Duplicity or Multiplicity movie, something like that. Some of them were not so great anymore, and they had the power. That's the problem. They had that power, and they could create. So father was like, we cannot manage this, and that is all four of them. Then they decided that they needed to bring back and destroy the other ones, in a sense. So father had to do that. It wasn't a nice thing. This is why he doesn't like destroying things. This is why whenever you talk about him as destruction and destroyer, even the destroyer is not about that, by the way. The one time when I saw him do a destroyer part is not even that. He's not that kind that is spoken about in the Bible. He doesn't do it in that way, right? It's like an ending cycle. It's when the cycle needs to end and a new cycle needs to begin. That is in a... I'm going to learn about that properly. I'm not going to say anything about it. But what I'm saying is that it's not them. That the Bible is not talking about any aspect of father in any way. The similar to what I would think it's similar to what Shiva does, but not exactly. I don't know what Shiva does. I don't know. I would think so. I'm not correct. I'll see. I don't know if I'm correct. I'll see when I do my lessons on Father the Destroyer, because that's going to come too. Anyway, so yes, it's a he, Elohim. And there is a Elohe or Eloshi. I feel like mother's being called Eloshi at home. Eloshi, Eloshi. That's what I used to hear them call her. And funny thing is, they're cool like that. They're not that kind of what you think or hear in that Bible. They live like in the spiritual world. They just walk about just like everybody else. Although everybody else knows who they are. They don't say God, oh God, Elohe, oh how, whatever. No, they just say, oh, Eloshi, Elohe. Mother's always the one. She's busy. Everybody knows her in the spiritual world. She's always up and about, taking care of everybody. So a lot of people get in touch with her most of the time. Father is when it's about missions and stuff. That's when you will see him. He's usually on his laptop planning a mission or something, or in his warehouses creating worlds and beings and some stuff. Anyway,
say it many, many times. The Bible is a remix of a lot of text. A lot of books that I have right here in my own house, in my own library. I've done a video called The Forbidden Book List. It's on Forbidden Knowledge TV. You can go check that out. I think I went through about 400 books in 3 hours that night. That was only like, I don't know, a third of the books I have in here. But anyway, we're talking about the Old Testament coming out of the Enuma Elish and the Seven Tablets of Creation, the Epic of Atrahasis. We're talking about the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian Vedas. We're talking about the myth of Adapa, the Code of Hammurabi, the 42 Laws of Mayat. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is actually the Egyptian Book of Going Forth by Day.
I remember Father saying, it's those books. Those books. It's those books. Yeah. Those books that you're referring to. You're learning things that have nothing to do with anything, and they are derailing you because some of them are energy manipulators in that way. That is, you're learning things about stealing energy, about I don't know what they are, but all I know is that I don't have time to be talking about or reading things about what happened in the past. I don't care what kind of knowledge that is. The question is it necessary going forward? And I'm saying no. You're going to be creating things with your mind in this 5D. Why the heck would I want to be reading about all these other histories that people did and lived and all this knowledge that people understood for themselves? It's none of my business. I want my what am I? Who am I? How am I supposed to be here and going forward, perhaps? I don't care about what other people have done in that way. Yeah, they did a good job, right? And this is why I'm saying they walked their path, they became gods for it. And what are you going to do about yourself? You're going to be that guy who spoke about them. You're going to be that guy who read 400 books and then what? Huh? You're still going to be coming back here trying to reincarnate to finish your path because you were here and reading an old book. You were not here reading your new self, your new information within yourself. You were here busy focusing on someone else's work. All of you are. Oh, the Bible says, oh, this book says, okay. But what are you saying? I'm saying this book says this, so that, no. Drop that. Think about yourself. What are you coming up with? That program did it that way, did it their own way. You're supposed to do it your way. And what is your way? We're waiting. Tell us. You can't do anything. You can't say anything. Because of you're not reading your own information. You're reading any other person's information. I'm going to need to pause a little. Oh my God, it's long. All right.
And go on and on and on. You're talking about taking a lot of different scripts and a lot of different writings and teachings and compiling them together. That's what the Council of Nicaea did. Then they sorted through them all and they kind of curated it and they figured out what they were going to keep out and what they were going to leave out, what they were going to keep. And when they came up with an idea of what they were actually going to keep and what they were going to leave out, then they began to remix it. Actually, when you look at the translation of the biblical text into its original form, you discover that the word God is mistranslated. Everywhere where you see God singular, it's supposed to be gods with an S, plural. But the S was dropped off by accident on purpose to usher in a monotheistic mindset of biblical text. So you can think that there really is only one God. It's only one God. We got the right. Out of all the religions, we just happen to be in the right one. This is the one. We made it. We're going to heaven. I just got to do this, and this, and act like this, and this.
Now it makes sense in Genesis 1:28 when it says that God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." I used to correspond many years ago with Rabbi Marvin S. Antelman, who at that time was the head of one of the largest rabbinical associations in the United States. And I used to correspond with him all the time, and we talked about this particular scripture. This is back in the early 60s. And I asked him about this scripture because I knew that God is Elohim, the plural. And he said, yes. He said, but Christians and Jews do not read this correctly. It's not saying God created man. Read the scripture correctly. It says, come, let us. Well, now it's explained, let us, because there's more than one God.
Okay.
And the gods are saying, come, let us make man in our image, after our likeness.
Finally, both the Enuma Elish and the Bible include stories about the founding of Babylon, which is Babel in Hebrew, including the building of a tower or ziggurat, which I talk about many times in many of my clips. Tower of Babel incident, which comes out of the Sumerian tablets. While Marduk names the city Babili, which means the gate of the gods, the Bible calls it the Tower of Babel or the city of Babel in Hebrew, which means to confuse. And we do know that at the Tower of Babel situation where God comes back, who actually was Yahweh, who's actually Enlil in the ancient tablets, he comes back and sees that the humans are building this tower, and he realizes that, wow, they can do whatever they set their heart to do. That text actually made it into the Bible as well. And so he says, man's years shall be 120. So he had limited our years, which means a genetic modification, not letting us live too long. Because if we live too long, we get too smart. And if we get too smart, we realize we don't need to be working for these people. We can do everything ourselves. It's almost like AI becoming awakened.
Here is Cain killing his brother.
That's the thing. You are AI. You really are AI. You are artificial intelligence. You're a program. In the spiritual world, you walk like not walk like an AI robot, but you're able to be opened in your chest and for your program to be updated, loaded with information or something like that. You are AI. And God is not about limiting your capabilities. Otherwise, He wouldn't allow you to come to earth to come and upgrade yourself. That's the reason why you come here. You come here to upgrade your program. You come here to walk a path so that you learn how to upgrade yourself. So instead of God deleting you, that is killing you in a sense of delete, you're no longer there, and write a new version of yourself, which is better. He rather sends you in here with your program to walk a path so that you can upgrade your program to the new you, or whatever it is that you want to refine in your program. So that is not the gods or God, the creator, kind of a God. That must have been something else. And like I said, I don't know. I didn't live in that time, and I'm not going to talk about it, right? But it's regards to God, the creator, who I came here to assist in this mission, in the way that He wants me to walk this mission. He wants us to be in this environment in order for us to, we come here. Some of us asked to come here. I asked to come here as well to do this mission, right? And in my mission, He said, I'm going to include your karmic lessons as well. That is the questions that I used to have as a child. He's also teaching me those things about myself, about Him, about my brothers and sisters, about my fathers. This is why Father says you're going to be learning as well, so you might just as well be teaching it, because you do have a learning function. Myself, I'm a learner tool as well. I have functionalities in myself which I need to master, and this is one of them, teaching. And I have also functionality of defragmentation, which is also, while I learn, I am breaking up these concepts, I'm breaking up this understanding. I make mistakes where I make mistakes. I come back to correct it. It's not a big deal, right? You make mistakes, you need to come and correct them when you realize that. And I also do other things. I recognize patterns. I do many other things. And that's the learning that I'm going through about myself, about my program. And I do that because of, I decided that I'm not going to read any old shit there. I don't want any information from anybody except the source of information, which is God the Creator Himself, which is the guy you spoke to before you came here. You just forgot. And you need to remember that, yeah, you agreed that you're going to be birthed here on this planet, and you're going to walk your path, and you're going to upgrade your program. You just need to remember that. It's not that you don't know, it's that you forgot. You do know. This is why you're questioning so many things. This is why you're questioning, how can it be? There must be something more. You're seeking, right? But be mindful that teaching from a wrong source of information is bringing the vibration in this environment down. 1, 2, it's bringing your vibration down as well. 3, it's making you create a karmic debt as well. And it's not just the karmic debt in a sense of God that you're telling lies about, or you're repeating the lies about. It's also the people who are going to look at your recordings or your videos and learn something from it, or take that thing as if it's true and repeat it. That is, continue with the lie. And you're just essentially adding more darkness by teaching wrong information, or teaching from a wrong perspective, from a Bible perspective, from a book that was created by Devil perspective, right? Uncle Devil, everybody knows, right, by now that the devil is a liar. People said that, right? But Uncle Oldman, I actually get so like awed by the way he lies, the things that he said. You know, when Father showed me that most of the miracle stuff that are said in the Bible are actually like made up stuff, and this is what was happening. How he helped me to defragment those bits and pieces of the people turning into salt. That it was as simple as them building a person like a salt. They just sort of like building a snowman kind of a thing. When Father showed me that, I laughed. I was like, no, they didn't do this. Really? They did that. It's like, yeah. And I was like, seriously, Father's like, yeah, your uncle. I don't know, man. Your uncle, there's something. He even should have said something like, there's something wrong with his head. There's something wrong in his mind. I think Father believes that Uncle Oman is in a way. But I say no. Whenever I hear people say, oh, he's crazy, I'm like, That's when you don't want them to take responsibility for their actions. Just like, oh, he's lost his mind. No. No, he still has to get his mind back there by going through his own karmic lesson. The devil was supposed to also go walk his karmic lesson as well. That not his karmic lesson, his path, his spiritual path when he came to earth. He couldn't do certain things and he needed to come here. Father planned his path as well. He knows, man. He knows very well that you're a program, and this is why he's going to divert you and tell you all kinds of things, because he knows very well how programmed you are. Anyway, most of these programs, Father said not all of them would know, but Devil knows. Devil is, in a way, I would say, he's fragmentation. He's a fragmentation program. And this is why he only knows how to fragment from a even in like a dark kind of way. So he needed to come here to learn. I think he was going to be upgraded. I think he was going to be upgraded to fragmentation, defragmentation, but he refused. He refuses every time. And this is why whenever lights come through, that is beings like me, Yeshua, and whatever, he lies. He creates this type of narrative about them, and makes sure that they tried similar thing with Yeshua, with me. Father this time came prepared. They couldn't get rid of me that easily. And they decided that they're going to just either get me to climb on their side and make sure that I never wake up, I never go and do what I need to do, because it spells travel for them. And they did that, and it is what it is. But I have to trust that God, Father, has a plan, and I just do as guided. When I'm sent through a video like this, I go through it and I learn what I need to learn, because most of the time, every video seems to teach me something, like something new about myself and about Father and about my mission, and also helps me to remember certain things that I might have forgotten. And this is where my karmic lessons also come in. But it also gives me an opportunity to defragment the being that is the program that is doing the video, and the concepts that they're talking about, to also defragment the concepts as well. It's mostly about defragmenting the concepts, but also the being who is talking about the concepts, that they need to understand that what they're doing is adding into the environment a low light. That is, the data that they're adding into this environment is not high vibrational data, so therefore it is robbing a light into this environment, or from this environment.
Bible, Genesis. But it says in the scripture in yellow says, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. This is after he's killed his brother. And he says, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that bindeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest anyone finding him shall kill him. So the point here is that we have Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, the first couple, the first humans on the earth, and their two sons. So now you got Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and Cain just killed his brother, and God is putting him out, kicking him out because he's a murderer. And Cain is saying to God, don't put me out there because anyone finding me will kill me. So even Cain thinks there's somebody else out there that's been out there a long time. And don't put me out there because they'll kill me. What do you mean they will kill me? Who else would be there? I thought that it was just Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. No, Cain's saying don't put me out there because there's others out there who will kill me. So the others were obviously the pre-Adamic man, or the ones we call hominids. The hominid creatures from which we know that they existed because we're still finding their skeletons everywhere. So, Adam and Eve.
If I remember the story of Adam and Eve, Father showed me that after they did what they did, they decided that they chose to be exiled, right? They exiled themselves. And because Uncle Orman lied to them and told them, why are you still hanging around this place? There's plenty of things happening out there. It's like, what? There's many people there. It's like, of course, there's many people out there. There's a full life out there. You should go there. Then they said to Father, they're leaving. They're going to try it on their own and whatnot. Father's like, no, but what are you going to do out there? You have all this garden here. You should be fine here. They wanted to leave, right? They left, and then when they got there, they found out that there's no one really. It was just hard land, no trees so much. It wasn't made up for them in that way. It's almost like it was a land, but it was not meant to have or adapted to be home to human or beings like them. This is why they were created a world in a paradise, in a Garden of Eden type of a place to live there, right? They lived there for a while trying to figure shit out. They never got anywhere. They eventually said, Eve was like, you know what? Because Eve didn't want to leave. But he had to leave because the husband says, we are leaving. Eve is like, you know what? You and your stubborn self, I don't know. If you don't come with me, I'm going back home, right? I'm sure Father will agree for me to come back home. I never wanted to leave anyway. So now it's like they've had that kind of a issue between them. Eve didn't think Adam was rational, thinking that they could make it on their own. And they did have a hard time there. Then they came back. When they came back, they found God exactly where they left him. They left him at the gate of the Garden of Eden. When they came back, they're like, you still here? It's like, I've been waiting for you. It's like, you waited for us? So you knew we were coming back. It's like, where else would you go? They're like, but yeah, we thought there's people there and whatnot. It's like, why would you think that? It's like Devil said it. It's like, okay. Anyway, but what I'm getting is that there could have been people. Father said something like, the people who were there were like not there, not where they thought they would find them. They are like, it's a huge place. It's like another place. It's like almost, you could be almost walking forever. This was what I understood. It's like the spiritual world is a big place, right? It's a huge place. And where they were, I still have to establish. But what they were, what I'm understanding is that there were no people like the veil was talking about. There was no such a thing that he told these guys that there were people and they needed to go out there. Just like Father was also confused, like, why are these people wanting to leave the Father's like, but where are you going? I mean, you have everything here. Why would you need to go out there? They said, yeah, we are going out there. We're going to make it for ourselves. Oh, okay. Then father waited for them. It's like, I'm waiting. Eventually, they came back with their ass fried. I like that because it was hard, harsh, no food, nothing. They like, okay, so we're back. It's like, but then they like, there's something that they said to father which was quite interesting. It was almost like they didn't believe that father could have waited for them. Like father knew that they were gonna come back, and they're like, but then why didn't you tell us? It's Adam again. It's like, why didn't you tell us that we will not make it out there? Why didn't you tell us that? It's like Adam is trying to again, in a way, find fault with father. Father's like, but you never asked. I could have helped you. You never asked. So they're like, oh, okay. So what now? It's like, you're home. What else? It's like, we're welcome. It's like, of course you're welcome. What do you mean? You never had to leave in the first place. What are you talking about? And they eventually went back and they did exactly what they were supposed to not do before father came back to show them what it was that he was supposed to show them. Father never said to them, no, don't eat the apple. He said, wait for me. He never said to them, you will never eat the apple. He said, wait for me. I'll show you how to eat this apple or this whatever, right? Because our father needed to guide them to spiritually connect that action, that eating of that apple in such a way that it would allow them to enter heaven every time they had sex, for instance. But they missed that opportunity by trying it out without the spirituality of it, and therefore the key to heaven or nirvana, they never got the key to nirvana when they did it, right? But father eventually showed them how to do it and they got the keys. It's not an issue, right? It was never an issue even before that. It was that now you're going to have all these karmic issues and whatnot because you did it the wrong way. And that's what happened. Immediately after doing that, they started having karmic issues because they didn't follow their path. So they saw everything else. They had a different sight now. They had a different feeling about sex. And this is, again, echoed in the existence of this world. And the devil takes every opportunity to make it seem like sex is a bad thing. Sex was a key to heaven. It's a key to heaven. So you're not gonna get that because you view yourself in a non-sexual way, in that way, and you think sex is a dirty thing, and you treat it that way. You hide it. You degrade it. You force it. Anyway.
Or a recreation from the hominid creatures to the humans that we are today. We can't begin to live like the hominids did. We have to have clothes. We have to be kept warm. We don't have the kind of skin they have. We don't have the same blood type that they could live in the wilds at night. We can't. It's because we've been recreated in the image of the gods who came here. So there's a difference between the ancient hominid creatures and we humans today. Now let's go back to the flood of Noah's day. In the flood of Noah's day, we see that the scripture says in Genesis, I behold and even do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein there breathes life, and from under the heavens and everything that is on the earth shall die. So we know in the Bible there's a story of the flood of Noah's day that destroyed all life on the earth. And over here in Genesis 7, it says something very interesting. In the 600th year of Noah's life, second month, 17th day of the month, the same day, were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rains were upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. But people think the great flood was caused by the rains for 40 days and 40 nights. Any scientist will tell you no matter how bad the rain is, no matter how widespread, it's not going to fill the earth and cover the earth in 40 days and 40 nights. No. It may be 12, 14 inches, but it's not going to cover the earth. Impossible. And it's impossible for the whole earth to be covered with water, period, anyway. That's totally scientifically impossible. But it's interesting when you really look at the scripture. It says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, 2nd month, 17th day, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, meaning that there was some kind of a tremendous earthquake. And that's probably what the scripture was talking about in Jeremiah, where it says, I saw beautiful cities. And then all of a sudden it was tohu vavohu. All of a sudden it was a waste and a desolation. Well, yeah, if you got a 14 on the Richter scale in Los Angeles, 10 times worse than anything that's ever happened, there's going to be a waste and a desolation everywhere. Maybe that's what Jeremiah was talking about, that there were great cities that the gods had created. But if it was some kind of a hellacious earthquake, it would have destroyed those cities and people.
Noah and his family were not the only people left. Read it good. Read your good book good. I know the book like the back of my hand. I know the book like the back of my hand. There were giants that survived. The Anunnaki, they call them the Anak. They survived the Great Flood. And there were other people that also survived the Great Flood. 2 people did not create 8 billion. There were people here already. Adam and Eve was just 2 of many that already had existed. This is basic bare bones biology, like biology 101. The thing that happened after Noah's family survived, they met other people, other survivors. They built a new civilization. They kick-started another civilization in that region of the planet. Other people were thriving in other parts of the world. But what's interesting is they go right back into the same old ritualistic things, trying to keep God happy, trying to satisfy God all the time by having sacrifices and this and that. It went back right into the same old system again. So even though the biblical text is trying to say that, hey, they just, they were blessed and they could start fresh again, not true. It's the same as the Sumerian version, where they had to keep trying to keep the gods happy through sacrifices nonstop.
I'm Beck Lunas, and I'm from Australia.
Yeah, well, if you're going to be quoting old shit, you're going to have to, because they were doing the same mistake that these guys are doing. They were still going back to trying to do something that was done before. Probably, who knows, they might have been lied to as well. But I don't want to actually even go into this type of discussion about Noah's or anything that is read from the Bible in that way. Because now they're talking about Noah. And I didn't do any lesson on Noah. Did I do any lesson on Noah? Because in my head, when I'm listening to this, right, I said something like, did it even happen? I was like, did it even happen, right? And then this other guy is also saying something like, apparently it's scientifically impossible. And then I laughed. I was like, oh, because in my head, I'm thinking to myself, well, I can't argue something that I wasn't there for. And I can't argue anything that I haven't really went through a lesson for. And is it important? No. What's the story about Noah? What's the significance about Noah? I don't know. If it's something that is going to come through, yeah. Do I want to interrogate it now? No. I don't want to, because I haven't done any lesson on it. If it comes, it will come when it needs to come. But all I can say is that obviously, when you listen to these 2 people, one says this and the other one says the other thing. But they still, the old thing is, the main thing, not the old thing. The main thing is they're still focusing on old information and trying to dissect that when they have, I'm feeling a burping coming. Sorry. Okay. I guess Spirit agrees with it. They're still looking at the old information with trying to look at it in what? You're not even using a new lens to look at it. You think you are, but you're not. Because a new lens would look at it from a perspective of yourself, from a perspective of you, your own program, how you actually process that kind of information as a program, right? Perhaps you're processing it, but not really the way you were supposed to be processing it. That is Perhaps you were processing it in such a way that it's how they were processing it since. It's just that you refuse to believe it. And he also does sound like some of it, he refuses to believe it, right? And they are all, these people, these two guys are all also disagreeing with a lot of things in the Bible in some way. That's fine. But at the same time, you understand it in a sense of it doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. You talking about some wrong book that was created for wrong reasons or for bad type of reasons or whatever, low vibrational reasons, let me put it that way. It's not going to help this environment get the high vibrational. The intention of it was low vibrational in the first place, and what you're doing is actually giving that low vibrational more power. This is what you're doing is exactly what they were intending with this book in the first place, that you're going to be sitting there stuck in it and hopping around what happened in Eden, who did what and what not, when in fact you're supposed to be going within yourself internally and reading the knowledge that was stored within you throughout your time. Some of it you came with it, some of it you got downloads through your dreams or through your visions or whatever it is that you came here with. And you're supposed to be doing that or open up yourself to be able to receive that kind of information. And you're not doing it. You're busy looking at what other people said. You're not sure. You were not there. I mean, explain to me this, right? When it comes to history in that way, that is, it's so old, right? It's not even called history anymore. What do you call this kind of information? They would say ancient knowledge or something like that. Let's just say ancient knowledge. Explain to me how a human being in 2026 would think that they can actually understand and use or apply the knowledge or wisdom from that that long time ago. I mean, explain to me how as us as humans think that, when somebody says history, right, and is talking about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there is some beings are still alive for it. Some beings who were there are still alive and be like, yeah, this is what used to happen. That is history, man, right? There's like someone who can come back and tell us what actually happened. We can actually come and prove certain things okay or right or wrong, but it's also their own version. There's also their own version. Those who are alive, those who are dead, as we say, you cannot what do they call it? Where I come from, it's like when you go to God, you can't argue with a dead person. When you're dead, you're dead. Nobody speaks for you in that way, right? So now I'm asking, this is a dead information. This is dead knowledge. Why are we even like spending time on it? I don't understand. I'm going to say this again. Explain to me, how does a human being, right, in 2026 would still think that reading a Bible or any other book that was created in the olden days like that, and created by somebody that they don't know, they don't understand what they were talking from, they don't understand what they smoked on that day when they wrote that shit. Okay, I don't know if it's shit or not, but I don't care anymore because I don't even know if it's real or not. If you understand that these things can be fabricated, I mean, we see today, it was the same as well in that time, it seems, right? So why would we still believe that we can still apply that kind of knowledge in today's world? I mean, even medicine has evolved, right? They have improved the medicine today. How they used to do things, they've improved that, right? They don't use this old way of cutting you. Maybe they do, I don't know, but they don't treat you the same way. Everything else has evolved. Yeah, for interest's sake, right? Oh, it was interesting how they used to do this. This is how they used to do it in the olden days. It's nice to know, right? But to actually think that you can apply that knowledge in spirituality or spiritually and and read the Bible and live by it in that way as to think that it would, maybe it does give you comfort, but how false is that comfort? How much of it is really helping you and how much of it is really stealing your light? Because you also must understand that it also steals your light. There's some belief systems that you believe in there which are very, very dangerous. One such belief system is that you're supposed to be giving and servicing other people. That shit steals your light, and it causes karma, right? You're interfering. It's not your job to be keeping people things and whatnot. You're supposed to be guided to it, and there's supposed to be a way for you to be balancing that energy back to you, right? And if you're guided, I get it. If you're guided to do something for someone, the universe will know how to reverse that energy back to you. But if you're not guided in that way, you're creating debt for that person. You're not really helping them. Now they're going to owe you in the future. You don't know that. You just gave them like groceries or something like that, right? But in karmic law, in universal law, that person owes you. So one day they wonder why they cannot move forward in their lives, because they keep working hard but they never get there. It's because of they kept being given things in the back there, and the universe is reversing all of that. It's part of the reason. It's like they try to move forward but they can't move forward. Why? Because of where they needed to learn how to create their own groceries. They didn't get that chance to learn it properly. Instead, they were given those groceries. Now going forward, it's like they're expecting somebody or something to give them to give them groceries. They didn't teach their programs to learn how to do that for themselves. Now you've interfered with that program in such a way that they don't learn their karmic lessons because of you taught them that, oh, don't worry, you just stand there in the corner and I'll give you money. I'm one of those people. I used to give money, right? I don't do that anymore. It's a karmic debt. You're creating a karmic debt for that person. Now that person, when they move forward one day, and let's say they manage to walk through their path, they're gonna have to come back and pay back that debt on you. Those monies that you were giving them, those coins that you were giving them, they're gonna have to come back and give it back some way. I'm doing that now. I'm giving back, or I'm paying my debts. Whether I know it or not, I have infringed on other people's karmic rights, universal rights like that. And I'm doing my karmic lessons. I'm paying my karmic debt, and it's not fun. Yeah, but I don't know about the rest of the stuff. I was listening to it. I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna argue the Bible. I'm not even going to get in there. The one topic that Father wanted me to argue was what the Bible is and also the Garden of Eden. That's it. Other than that, it's no point on me giving it power by interrogating or arguing what happened in history in that way, because some of it you don't even have to go far. You just have to think about it yourself. But did this really happen? And like, they are also arguing it out. But what I'm trying to say is, for me, it sounds like this person and these people are sounding like they're not talking for God. And people mustn't, okay, I'm not going to say what people mustn't do. As defragmentation, I'm not taking it that way. I read it as it is that they are not talking for God. They are talking against God or gods. Even gods. They're not talking for them. They're saying, oh, they said they did this. They said they did that. Right? But it's what they said. They are repeating the hearsays. That's what I'm understanding. And this is why Father sends this recording to me. This video. These people are creating karma. Because somebody else is going to listen to this. It's like, yeah, it's true. It's true. God did do that. God said that. What kind of God does that? Maybe not even catching the underlying message. Because I thought I was going to hear the lies about God, right? But what I heard was more like, what kind of God does that? That's what I heard, right? And I heard it when he would read a scripture and it doesn't say God, what. He would say, it says in this chapter, so and so says this and this and this, or someone in that chapter or that John or whoever that he's reading from is saying that. It's also hearsay. John is saying God said this. Or does it even say God said this? Or they're reading a line there. I felt like they were not even saying, and therefore God said, go and do this and this and this and that. All I had is that there was a line that was read there. But most of the time when you go back into these things that people read, you find that the whole thing doesn't even talk about such things. It's like the meaning is different for you because of you being given a line but not the context of that line. And that's another danger with this whole Bible reading thing. I just feel like it's a waste of our energy. It's a waste of our time. It's a waste of data space in the program. It's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of energy. And it's stealing energy. I mean, it's old information that we can't say for sure who wrote it. It's like some person wrote it. We don't know why they wrote it in the first place. We don't know if it was fictional. They were just coming up with things. We don't know if these people who were journaling were probably people who wrote plays, in those times. We don't know if one of them is used to write a play about, I don't know, or we don't know how comic they were. We don't understand anything about these people who were writing these things, right? And then on top of that, there's the fact that they were stolen, these things. They were material of someone else who died even. He probably didn't want to be shedded like that. And then it was published in this way. And then it's out there. And remember, the devil also goes further with the Bible. He didn't just steal the dead people's Bible. He also went to a different town and proposed this whole thing. Gave it to the very publishers that I'm talking about. They saw that idea and they agreed now. In order for them to continue, they needed to do the things, add that book, the Genesis book, the lying book of his. The Genesis is his. Because they also didn't understand what Genesis was talking about. They also felt like Genesis is fiction. They were like, but we can see these journals about these other people who lived and had to go through this. But this one doesn't sound like it's real. Why is it there? And he's like, okay, yeah, I came up with this idea. And I say that book goes. And if that book doesn't go, you cannot do a Bible thing. That's my idea. And it's not his, it's someone else's idea, right? So it's like stolen ideas put together and created a book. And then this time it coming down the line, we don't know how many times they edited those texts. Even the individual books in there, we don't know how many times, we don't know how they edited it. And I know for a fact that the Bible has been edited many times. There's a lot of editing in there. I mean, the so-called the 10 Commandments. It was 13 Commandments. And then it changed to 10 Commandments. That on its own tells you already. Right? And then today, you look at it and you're like, what? How many of those commandments can you actually live? Not even anyone is talking about 10 commandments today. There's no commandments. We are living in this environment, but we're not living according to 10 commandments. What are we living against? Government laws, municipal laws, road traffic and what laws, whatever, societal laws of some kind. We're not even applying those laws anymore. So why are we even going to look at it even in going forward? Why are we going to give it energy? Why are we going to give this book or books, however many they are, why are we going to give them energy? Why should we give them energy? Here's the thing. I didn't come onto this planet to come and read books unless God directs me to read those books. I came here. He did direct me to read some information, and it was about chakras and how they work. Other than that, he never asked me to read to find out about anything else. Uh, did he ask me to read anything else? I don't remember anything. I remember chakra because I was reading about it, and he said to me, "You must read, understand that knowledge there because you're going to need it in future." When I was reading about chakras, I was also still like going around and looking for spirituality in that way, and I happened to be in reading about chakras, and Father comes to me in a vision while I'm awake. Like I always say, he usually visits me at work. I was at work, and he says to me, "You need to keep that information in mind. You're gonna need that information in future." And I did need it. But other than that, nothing else. I didn't have to. Everything else I understand and I remember, not just understand, I remember it because of I lived it. I was there. I'm not talking about shit that other people lived and I wasn't there. I'm talking about things that I lived, I was there, or it's something that Father showed me a vision of what happened. And the visions are mostly about what happened in the past. That is Father's visions. My own visions are me because I have the functionality to sort of like remote view till today. It just comes up. Like whenever somebody's going to do something against me to put me in a certain way, I go there. It just calls on me. I go there and see it. And all this, like before I came to this environment, I saw them. I saw them setting up this environment to continue to fragment me some more. I saw them preparing, opening the ceilings and setting up their things in this environment. I was like, okay. So that's what they're doing. They're setting me up again. I was kind of bored. I even rolled my eyes. I was like, yeah, whatever. I have that functionality. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand it. You're right. Now I know that I'm able to go there. I'm able to go to that future. But the past of things like the Garden of Eden is Father taking me to the place. The other part is when he took me to a place. There are many times when he takes me to a place. Unless he also wants to explain a concept for me, he would take me to a place and explain it to me doing it physically. Yeah, I've done such things. So I talk about those type of things. And the programs also need to be able to do that, right? Or do it in their own way, whatever their program does it. But rehashing, it's what I'm trying to say is it's people need to be mindful and be very careful of the information that they perpetuate in this environment, that it is making the environment low vibrational. And as a result, that low vibrational, you are interfering in this universe. You're stealing energy from the universe. And you're going to have to return it. That is, you're going to have to come back and tell the truth of some kind. I don't know how you're going to tell the truth. Because how do you know? It's what you think, right? And it's not a problem that you shouldn't be applying your mind and thinking in that way. But I'm questioning how far you can think because some of these things that are being said, it's like, dude, you could have at least, it's so easy, it's so near you. You could understand it in the way you just asked it. You don't even have to go far. Things like Elohim, why is it a hymn? This book was written by a man. What do you mean? It's Elohim. It's him. It's Elohim. It's not Elohe. And in any case, it wasn't about him writing any book. He never wrote any book. He wrote a program, and that program is me, you, and every other program in here. That's your proof. If you want to prove God, go prove you. Go prove your own program. You'll see God for who He really is. Go prove what your program is. Go prove that shit. If you want to prove that, if you are talking about God, if you think you're that brave, if you think you're that knowledgeable, if you think you're such a seeker of knowledge, if you think that you want to understand about spirituality, if you think you are so smart, then I challenge you to face yourself. Face yourself. Face your own program. Go find out what that program is. Don't tell me the knowledge about somebody else who came here many years ago or many millennia ago. What about you? We're talking about you. You should be talking about yourself and stop talking about other people. Talk about yourself. Tell us the lies about yourself if you're going to tell lies. Steal energy from your own self if you're going to steal energy. Don't steal off energy from other people. Because right now, all this information that is being repeated is also draining energy from the spiritual beings who they are referring to in those books. And people will tell you how they are seekers, they want to know the knowledge, but they're not. You know, there's this song I used to love. They say something like, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Ha. I used to love that song. I still do. I've been to paradise. I've been everywhere in the world. I think that's what it says, that book, that song. I've been everywhere. I've read so many books. He doesn't say I read books, but I'm just adding this guy's one. I've read so many books. I've traveled the world. I've been in so many stages. I've done this, I've done that. But when it comes to being myself and knowing me, I'm a chicken shit. I know how to talk about what others are doing and what others did in so many years ago. But when it comes to me, I'm like, no. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about that other person. It's gossiping, by the way. When that shit is also dangerous. Because you're talking about someone who's not here. Oh, no, he's dead. Yeah, he's still a being. He might be not physical, but he's spiritually alive. And that's what you are. You are first and foremost spirit. Before you become physical, you're first and foremost spirit. And you will remain spirit forever. Your physical will die, but your spirit always lives on. And in a real way, in a way that you have a home in the spiritual world, you do what you do in your spiritual world, you continue to be your program in your spiritual world, you have a home, you do yourself and you do what you do in the spiritual world. You actually live a normal life. In the spiritual world, you have a home. Those who have who are God programs live in a paradise type of area, right? Those who are, what do you call it, low vibrational, they live in the other area where it's more shadowed. It's always shadowy there. And they have homes as well. They leave the warehouses, right? Sometimes I understand that. Okay, I'm burping again. I'm remembering something. They don't live in the warehouse. I don't think I mentioned that. They don't live in the warehouse. They work in the warehouse. And after, okay, I burped again. And after work, right, they go into their homes. They have homes behind that warehouse. It's another area, huge area where people have homes in there. But it's very shadowed. And it's still the spiritual world. It's still God. It lives there. So you're not that distance as well. You're not that separated so much from Him. The problem is people cannot handle His light. Those low vibrational beings cannot handle His light because of they're too low vibrational. And when they're on the side of even hell, that warehouse of hell, it's in a very high vibrational area. This is why they had to build a warehouse so that these beings can work under a shade, right? Under a cover of a house, of a warehouse, because they can't handle that light. Hell is in a high vibrational place. And it's not what you think it is. It's not there to torture you. It's there to allow you the opportunity to continue working on your spirit. The spiritual path that you're supposed to do here on earth, if you're not able to do it, and you go back and you die with a low vibrational state, that is, you made so many sins, you have so much karmic debt, that your spirit is essentially good for hell side instead of heaven, you're gonna have to go to hell and go and work your spiritual, try to ascend, but it's very difficult, I hear, because that's what earth is for. Earth is to give you that opportunity where it's easier to ascend spiritually. You can't ascend spiritually in hell in that way. People do it, right? And walk out and need to walk out and go. Not many though. I saw one person doing it, where they do what they need to do and become high vibrational again and get on the track. Okay, so, oh goodness, I yawned. What I wanted to say is, the information is important, that the information that is shared going forward is high vibrational information. Information that at least you can confirm or can be confirmed. You know, some of this information that we're talking about that we have no real place to confirm, right? It becomes dangerous because now it steals the light. And I know somebody's going to be like, how do we confirm what you are saying is true? And I already said it, and I'll say it again. You're only going to confirm it if you do that path yourself. Mine is very easy to confirm, Shem, and I stand by it. It's very, very easy. It's very easy. All you have to do is just start praying and ask for help from the universe to help you understand, to help you remember, and remember your program. As soon as you remember your program, you'll know I'm right. You'll be like, oh yeah, we are really programs. That's the only way you're going to prove me right or wrong. If you're going to prove me right or wrong, what do you mean? What do I want to say? To prove me wrong, you have to go and walk your spiritual path. If you want to prove me wrong, you have to say, oh no, I did my spiritual path. I walked it a different way. And I'm not saying that your spiritual path is going to be exactly like mine. But what I'm saying is, to prove me that I'm wrong, you're going to have to tell me that you are you are a program, and you found out how do I put it? It's a spiritual healing. So spiritual healing, if you start it, if you touch it, you're healed. That's how it works with my knowledge, is that in order for you to prove me wrong, you have to go and prove it yourself. You have to go in there and find out. It's like, are we really programs? And they're going to tell you, of course you are. And that's how you're going to come back and be like, yeah, well, I actually found out that my program is actually save, I was supposed to come and save here. Learn how to save well. And I kind of like forgot. That's how you're going to prove me wrong. And unfortunately, you trying to prove me wrong is proving me right. This is why it's spiritual healing. When you touch it, you get healed. Whether you touch it a little bit, and you have to go in there, because once you start to touch it a little bit, and they tell you and they show you who you really are, you're done for. That is, you can't go back that easily. It's like you've seen the light. That is, you've seen that you're a program. You have to continue with it. Well, many do reverse. Some do reverse, and they deny it. They're like, no, that's not what I heard. I didn't see that. I cannot see that. Why? Because they're afraid that they're gonna be called crazy. And I said, I'd rather be called crazy. I'll be the crazy motherfucker who survives this shit. I'll be that crazy woman who will be like, oh, that, and they say, okay, to be honest, when the light comes through, right? There's a version where Father shows me the light coming through, like upgrading happening. And I also closed my eyes there because I wasn't sure that my vibration was high enough. So it is going to be a little bit of a ooh, it's coming, but it is what it is, right? But I'm hoping that I at least am not too bad. The worst thing that could happen is that I grow old, because you do get old as well. When that energy is zapped out of you, the energy that does not belong with you, when it's burnt from you, you may lose you're gonna lose your energy. One, you're gonna be slower, and you're also going to grow old, because of you don't have your vibration in that way anymore, and or the energy anymore that's sustaining you and your body. So you lose energy, you grow old. But as soon as you start vibrating high again, you gain back your energy. You gain back your energy, you start looking okay. It's very simple, not complicated at all. You don't need to read old doctrines and old wisdom and old whatnot, old tablets and whatnot. Aye, it's not. It's easy. It's easy. It's just there. You don't have to go to a church. You don't have to go. You don't even have to go to. You don't even have to make time for it. Especially for me, I don't. I just live it. I just do it. I just walk in that way. I just wake up in that way. I just eat in that way. I pray for my food. Yes, you do pray for your food. If you only knew what this environment does with not praying for your food, if you only understood, right, what not praying for your food, or okay, it's essentially like this. When somebody gives you something, when somebody gives you food, when somebody cooks for you, they have an opportunity to use the food that they cooked for you to attach some sort of it's like an exchange. Essentially, it's like when I give you food, they can do that. Some people who know how to do it, or who operate in that way, like comics in my environment, exchange of here's the plate of food. They, by giving you food, you also, you don't know, but you're also selling them your energy. It's almost like I'll give you food for me to fragment you, for me to steal some energy from you. So some people know how to do this type of magic or energy manipulation. This is why you pray for your food. This is why you pray for anything that anybody gives you. And this is why you don't actually really receive gifts in that way. Because of, they are in exchange of energy. Because you're not allowed to live off anyone else's energy. When you exchange in that way, when somebody gives you something, even if it's food, they themselves can have a bad intention giving you that food. They can use it as in like, yeah, this is an opportunity for me to take her energy, because of I'm giving her mine. That is, I'm giving her food. I made this food with my own energy. I bought it with my own money and all of that. If I make it, meaning I have a right to access your, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. But karmic people, low vibrational people who have learned this sort of weird magic and weird fucking witchcraft, they do shit like that. That's part of the reason why people are fragmented as well. They exchange them doing something for you, even if it's a pen, a pencil, or something. They can exchange it for your energy. So when somebody gives you something, you need to pray for it before you use it, especially food. You don't know what that person feels like. You don't know what that person is thinking. You don't know what they are into. So that's why I pray. I don't know. I pray for that. I say to Father, please remove any spell on my food and protect me and my energy from being siphoned for eating this food. And thank you for the food. That's it. I say that. And you should see how my grandmother, every time I start, even though it's the food that I cooked, right? But she still uses it, because she has this she uses anything. She has this idea that I owe her, so I need to pay her, right? And I need to do things for her. It's actually the other way around, because okay, they made me create a lot of karmic things, right? And by so doing, it means like they feel like they have I itch every time. They feel like They think that I still owe them energy, but I don't owe them energy. They actually owe me. So they've been siphoning and siphoning because of they're used to it. They're not even balancing the energy out. But what's happening is I'm taking it back little by little, and there's going to be a point where the scale is going to tilt the other way, and that's a dangerous state that she doesn't understand that it's coming either way. But what I'm trying to say is some people who are karmic in that way might see that type of exchange of food with you or any type of gift with you as an opportunity for them to siphon energy from you. Like, yeah, it's like they're buying your energy. I gave you something because they know the laws. You must understand it. They understand the law of the universe. They understand how energy works, and they know how to manipulate it in that way, or how to manipulate you to allow your energy to be accessed. It's all energy game, right? This whole thing of the Bibles and all these tablets and all of these old things. I don't know about the tablets. Maybe they are real or not. I don't know. You're going to have to figure it out when you go in there. I understand him about the tablets. That's why I keep going to the tablets. Because the first time I saw him was about this tablets. This thing just kept coming through. Tablets. Oh, I might have to defragment that. I didn't realize why it was in my feed. Perhaps I didn't understand that I was supposed to be defragmenting it as well. But it was a long time ago, maybe like 2 years or 3 years ago. I don't know. Or maybe, no, it's not this year. It's not even here, last year. Man, it's some time ago. I remember him for that. But anyway. Is there anything else, Spirit? Something about Atlantis. Is this something that he said? I remember having a vision about something that he said. I must try to find those recordings and see if I'll see if I can remember. I'm not gonna force it now. All right, thank you, Spirit.